Today's episode of the Unofficial One Piece podcast is sponsored by Kolektakon, your source for One Piece Mega House merchandise. Check them out at kolektakon.com/One Piece. New at kolektakon.com, you can get the excellent model portrait of pirates, the SA Maximum Frankie release. There's also the brand new One Piece Monkey D. Luffy Mega House figure. Check that out as well. And the Neo DX Edward Newgate, that's Whitebeard limited re-release. Check that out while you can. And also the Portgas D Ace limited anniversary. That's the 10th anniversary limited edition. Those are all available for a limited time, so check it out at kolektakon.com/One Piece. Let's get into the show. This is the Unofficial One Piece podcast, episode 337 for the week of Monday, September 15th, 2014. My name is Zach.
And my name is Ed.
And my name is Steve.
On today's show, we have the dude. Hey, dude.
Hey, Zach.
How's it going?
It's going good, buddy.
You and Steve were at SPX this past weekend, right?
Yeah, we were. We had a really great time.
Sure were. And we totally had some listeners come by the table. So I was surprised by that.
Nice.
I was surprised and delighted.
Yes.
That's a deep Apple Store cut. If you've ever worked at the Apple Store, you'd know that surprising and delighting your customers is rule number one.
We're starting off with the esoteric jokes right away. We also have... Yes.
Well, I just wanted to thank everyone that came by the table and told us that they listened, or if you bought a comic as well.
Yeah, or if you bought one of Steve's comics.
We also have a very special guest translator for One Piece in Weekly Shonen Jump, which you can check out at shonenjump.viz.com. We have Stephen Paul. Hey, Stephen.
Hey, what's up? It was only, I think, 103 degrees earlier today, and as we are recording this, it's sundown, and it's gotten all the way down to a cool 92, so feeling great.
And if you didn't hear at the top of the show, it is September 15th.
It's so hard to live in California.
Yeah.
I can't tell if you're being sarcastic.
Yeah. Nice beaches. Anyway.
It's not usually like this.
I'd rather, the temperature we have now, like in the 60s year round. Beaches would be nice, but I like the, I guess, Northern Californian weather would probably be optimal if I had a choice.
Yeah, we are mammals after all. We're not lizard people.
Is that true?
You don't know everything about me, Zach.
On today's show, we have a manga...
Zach versus the lizard people.
So it'll be like He-Man, except with the One Piece podcast.
And instead of Lizard Man, it was the Snake Man. That's the second time I've made that reference in 2 days.
I'm the one who actually brought that one up.
Yeah, I know. Thank you, Zach.
Yeah, no problem. That's what I'm apparently here for. So on today's show, we have a manga recap for a really good chapter 760. We have a double Toonami recap for episodes 269 and 270. I would have gotten that, Ed. We also have an anime recap for a really good episode 661, and we're really happy to announce that we have the voice, or the incoming voice, for Gecko Moria in Funimation's One Piece. We have Chris Guerrero on for a full half-hour interview. We haven't had a new voice actor on in a little while, so I hope you guys enjoy that. It was a lot of fun speaking to him, and make sure to check him out on Twitter at Chris Guerrero VA. If you have trouble spelling that, we'll put that in the description as well. So yeah, we have a good show today. Just for a couple pieces of news that have come out, it's been a relatively slow news week, so there's not much. On our website, onepiecepodcast.com, you can check all the news as it comes out. We have the episode titles for episode 661 through 664 if you want to see that. Spoil yourself a very tiny bit because Toy's titles include the entire description of the episode. The One Piece 10 exhibit in Taiwan, 10 meaning exhibit in Japanese, passed 250,000 visitors, which is a huge landmark. This is especially good news, as William pointed out in his article, because if it does well in Taiwan, that means it could come to other overseas locations. So fingers crossed on that. That would be really cool to see that in the United States or abroad in any fashion beyond Taiwan.
Indeed.
We also have One Piece Season 6 Voyage 2. That trailer came out. Steve, I have to ask your thoughts on that trailer.
Ian sounds awesome as Brook. And it's so great to hear Moria before even Voyage 1 comes out. I don't know. Other than that, like, those are the only two characters we really heard from that are new. I mean, we heard a lot of Frankie and Robin and Luffy, of course. I'll save most of my opinions for when I actually see the episodes.
That sounds about right. And if you want to hear more Moria, you may hear it in our interview later. That's called Synergy, guys. Or something, I don't know. There's also we're number 2 in the New York Times manga bestseller list for August 31st through September 6th. That would be One Piece Volume 72, which Stephen here helped to translate. And by help,
that was me.
He did translate. Good job, Stephen. Number 2.
Thank you.
It's always a big achievement getting on the New York Times bestseller list. So check that and more news out at OnePiecePodcast.com. Why don't we just get right into the show, though? You guys ready?
Oh, yeah. Big episode this week.
Yep. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our interview time segment. Today we have the voice of Gecko Moria. We have Chris Guerrero. Hey, Chris.
Hey there, what's going on?
Not much. Nice to have you on. How's everything been going?
Oh, goes good. Just been working as of late and very excited that I can finally say that I am Moria in the dub of One Piece.
Nice. Steve, why don't you start us out?
I guess I got to start with the standard question. I am curious, what is your acting background? How did you first get started in acting or in voice acting as well?
Like most people, I started in theater. I really got into it in high school. Funny story. One of the main reasons I got into acting in high school was because in middle school, for some reason, I just did terribly. It was mostly just written essays and just like paperwork and all that. But in high school, and I did poorly in that class. In high school, I heard you got extra credit if you got cast in the play. And I was like, well, I'm probably going to do terribly, so might as well, audition. And I got cast as a little bit role, and I was like, whoa, this is kind of fun. And then it kind of went up from there. And as for voice acting itself, I actually got started online. And that kind of was in tandem with my stage acting. And this was just like little amateur like productions, little flash cartoons and stuff. And I think that kind of helped me get a better idea of like voice acting in general, because with One Piece and stuff like that, it's pretty wacky. And like if you're a stage actor, you're just like, what's all this? But I think I was very thankful to be able to do both of those in tandem and just be prepared on both ends.
Mm-hmm. Are you still doing stage acting?
Yes, I do stage acting from here and there. It's been a little while since my last production, but I'm hoping this year actually to be more active in the theater scene.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. With your casting in One Piece as Gecko Moria, this is really your first big anime villain role. How have you been adapting to that?
Well, when I came in there, for everyone, I'm a big fan of One Piece. So when I came in for the audition, I knew all the characters, and I was just like, oh, this is big. So I went in and I read for, I believe it was Absalom, Hogback, and Moria, because I believe those were the only males on the sides. And I auditioned, and I was just like, okay, it went well. I thought it went well. And it was like 2 weeks later, and I was like, well, I guess I didn't get called in for anything. Then I just got like a text from FUNimation like a day or two after. It was like, guess I didn't make it, saying they needed 3 hours. I thought, 3 hours? That's a little bit of time. So I was thinking, it's got to be Absalom. But then I went in, I was just like, I'm assuming maybe I'm Tiger Man. It's like, no. You're Moria. And I was just like, excuse me? Because I was flabbergasted. This is a fan. I was not expecting like a big villain. I'm a new guy there, and I'm just like, boo. So I think that caught me off by surprise, but I think I was kind of ready for it because being a fan, I knew a lot about the source material, and I had an idea of what I wanted to do when I went in for the audition, and I felt very confident from then on out. Of course, having Mike and also Joel, who also directed, I think we did a fantastic job in the end.
And you mentioned being a fan of One Piece. When did that start? When did you get into the series?
It was when I got into middle school. We were going on a vacation, and my mother had bought me a copy of Shonen Jump, and I had no idea what it was. I knew Dragon Ball, and I watched Dragon Ball on Toonami and all that, and I was just like, what are all these other I see Dragon Ball Z in here, but what's this One Piece for Rurouni Kenshin? I have no idea. And I read that, then I went to the store like a month later because it's like it was monthly, and I got another one to see, continue the story, and I was just like, why don't I just get a subscription? And it just kind of built up from there, and I was just like, wow, I really love One Piece, and that's how I began buying the manga and the DVDs back in the early days.
So what is your experience with it now, since you've clearly been a fan for a very long time?
My experience with it now, it's still the same. I'm still the fanboy. Me and my friends will just when we're together, we'll just break off into like One Piece slash, Kishishi, Horo, Z, ha ha ha. That's our little geeky things that we do. But no, I still see One Piece as the same. I still see it as just this wonderful adventure comic that's just about friendship, and it's actually connected me with a lot of people. Actually, I met a lot of friends through One Piece. Actually, one of my friends.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I was going to say it's the same here.
Yeah. We could relate.
Actually, one of my roomies right now is one of my friends I knew because of voice acting in One Piece, and we have an awesome time together.
How current are you? Just out of complete curiosity.
Oh, I'm always caught up.
Oh, there you go. That's good to know. We'll talk about that later.
I think you might be the first
voice actor. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know if Mike is all caught up yet. He has a long way to go.
I'm sure he's far too busy.
So what has it been like being Gecko Moria, since you obviously had you had a lot of familiarity with the character, and you may know just how much of a, I'm going to say, handful he probably is. How has it been embodying that character?
It was a big honor to be able to take on this role. I will say it was a little difficult, though. With Moria, I've noticed that you have loud, and then you have louder. And some of those recording sessions were a little rough on me. I was just like, because I usually had to break them down into 2 hours, because after I booked a 3-hour session, and that was my longest. That was my first one. I was like, okay, let's do this. And by the end of it, I was just like, and Mike's just like, yeah, let's do these for 2 hours. I was like, that sounds like a good idea. But I would say Mori's he's been fun. He's all over the place, and especially with the voices too. As you probably noticed from the Japanese VA, you have to be just wild and out there. And I've been having a great time with him.
Good.
If I could take it back a little bit to when you auditioned for Moria, what was your what would you say? What were you channeling besides just inspiration from the Japanese voice? Was there anything that came to mind?
There was, actually, because I'm also a gamer, and I play a video game called Dota 2, which is called Defense of the Ancients on Steam, and there's this one character called Bane that I actually like to play, and he has kind of like this well, we must go on, and I kind of incorporated that with Moria. It's like, oh, hello there, kind of that wavery sound to it.
Was that our sneak peek?
Sneak peek? I think you got a sneak peek in that trailer, but this is Moria a little more subtle, because you get him, like, in the trailer, like,
I must add, and it's not an insult, and at least with our podcast, it's the highest compliment. But one of my friends messaged me when the trailer came out, which is kind of crazy that not even the first voyage has come out yet, and we already have the second voyage trailer. So we now we got to hear Moria before sitting through all those episodes. But a friend of mine messaged me, he's like, "Oh, did you see the new voyage trailer?" He's like, "I'm like, yeah, of course." And he said, like, "Yeah, Moria sounds like Krusty the Clown. It's awesome."
No, I saw that pop up so many times. It's just like, oh my goodness, that does sound kind of the same.
But to us, we're big Simpsons fans, so
it's a perfect collision of worlds, if anything.
Ooh.
So since you're a little more familiar with the Moria character, I don't know how far you are in recording. Which scenes that you've either recorded or will record are you particularly excited about or had a particularly fond memories of?
I think we're okay to say it now. I'm done recording.
Oh, okay.
I would say my funnest bits were the in-game stuff, the big battle, and I don't want to spoil those. Of course, not a spoiler. Obviously, you got to have the big fight with the bad guy, but there's a certain move that Moria uses, and I loved just those scenes, that battle.
And were you able to do that, or did they have you do that sort of unmodified, or would you even know if they add some sort of digital enhancement to your voice when he goes all crazy at the end like that?
There probably are going to, like, I don't know, the Japanese, it sounded, maybe it was modulated a little bit. I don't know if they're going to do it any other way, but either way, I think it's going to sound cool, because that was the only time in voice acting I actually got to use creature sounds, which I'm a big fan of, like D. Bradley Baker, Frank Welker, all that. And that was the first time I got to just go full out with that.
Nice. And I guess I could put a little spoiler before this, skip a couple seconds ahead, but what do you think of where Moria's character goes from here? I mean, we see him a few more times after this, as you mentioned.
Well, luckily, you don't have to wait too long to voice him again, because he pops up.
It's like, hey, here I am, Marine Ford. About his character, I wish we could. I wish I could. Playing him, I wish I could get more about him, because, spoiler still, we all know that Kaido wipes out his entire crew. So he's a man who was hurt, and he had crewmates that loved him. And I was just like, man, this man's he's just a very broken. I don't even know if he's like I don't even know if what kind of species he is technically.
No, and we've seen the picture of him from how many years ago. He's clearly put on a lot of weight since then.
Oh yeah, he's just like rugged, like look at me, Moria. Oh. But no, I feel sad for him, but also he's just a big kind of a dick.
and lazy.
And also, he's a lazy dick too, because he's just like, you do it.
I think we could all relate to that, though. Right?
True. When you have power, you can slack off a little bit.
Yeah, why not?
We all sloth sometimes. We're all sinners here.
There you go.
I kind of want to ask this question. Spoilers again.
It is this.
In terms of way beyond Thor Bark, I'm curious what you think has happened to Moria since Marineford.
That's a big question.
I'm not quite sure. I've seen stuff online where it's just like, he is alive. No, he isn't alive. No, he is alive. I'm not quite sure what became of him. I think
they confirmed he was alive.
He was alive, yeah, because where we left off, he was not in a good position. She's like, well, Flamingo's here, and we got all the pacifistas. So I was betting on him just being like, well, he was just obliterated then and there. But if there's hope out there that he's alive, and if it's been confirmed, then Hopefully, we see him sometime in the future. Maybe.
I think it's
Be
likely.
fun.
Yeah. It's One Piece. I mean, everyone comes back.
Yeah, I mean, like, Rayleigh was just like, in these early chapters, hey, it's been like 500 chapters later, I'm back.
And I'm an important character.
I was a background guy.
I was background, but now I'm just like the most boss guy here.
Foreground.
Can't get more.
I was background. Now I'm the foreground. If I could ask some more One Piece questions, besides Moria, who are some of your favorite characters?
Moria, let me see. Moria obviously being a favorite from this one. Blackbeard, love him, hate him. He's the man.
Love to hate.
What else? Yeah, you love to hate him.
Yeah.
Also, Caesar Clown, I also love too.
There's a similar type there too. I feel like
they are a similar type too. Let me think. There's one more. If I feel like there's people who are Nami fans and Robin fans, and I have to have a woman of class. So Robin is also near and dear to my heart.
So you're a big villain fan. I mean, Robin was a villain at some point in the past. Blackbeard, Moria, and Caesar.
Yeah, I'm just a bad boy fan here.
Those are some of the baddest of the boys.
I want to see that crew together.
I guess another standard One Piece question. I'd say, other than Thriller Bark, what was your favorite arc?
Oh, it would just have to be the Water 7 Enies Lobby. Honestly, in my opinion, that was just like Oda was just on point on every level.
Mm-hmm. You won't find much disagreement here.
No.
Nope.
It's a great arc.
I think for us fans that go that far back, reading the manga, I think like Water 7 Enies Lobby is pretty much like a staple.
Yeah, I feel like that. I'm sorry, go on.
No, I'm saying I think it might have changed with some younger fans. I think younger fans seems like they're attached a little bit more to like Thriller Bark or the Shabondi stuff. But I think a lot of the older fans, they always go back to Water 7.
I just believe it's one of the most well-structured plots that Oda has done, because there's so many different like storylines going on that all tie together, and I thought that he did it wonderfully with that arc, and it had just the best in-game fight in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely the best intricately laid out plot that comes together very nicely at the end. Yeah.
Though Dressrosa is
it's doing a good job.
Not too far behind.
Yeah, no, it kind of reminds me bits and pieces of Water 7.
Yeah, just the upheaval in general. And there was like more culture in Dressrosa. We don't get that often. We go to abandoned islands or whatever it might be. Any more questions, Ed or Steve, or do you want to get into the actor studio?
Why don't we get into these questions?
Ed?
All right. Well, we usually do the 10-question questionnaire from inside the actor's studio whenever we have a new voice actor on.
One of them actor guys.
We've had a couple people on here more than once, and it wouldn't make sense to do it more than once. But yeah, but no. These usually elicit pretty interesting responses, and we like to ask them. So, question one is, what is your favorite word?
What is my favorite word? I'm sorry.
It's not really a word, but
no. It's not even really a word. It's more of a name, and it's from a TV show I love. It's Pep Pep from, and it's used in reference to somebody's father. And Tim and Eric, if you've ever seen their show, they have on Adult Swim. Tim and Eric's awesome show, and they just use that word every so often. Just like it gets me every time. Here, Pep Pep, Pep 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 Pep.
Question two: what is your least favorite word?
Stupid. I don't like that. I don't, because when you're saying someone's stupid, you're actually just saying, hey, there's a difference, like ignorance and stupidity. And I would say stupidity is more of It's not like it's more mental stuff. I think that's more of an insult. No one's truly stupid. They're just not privy to certain facts, and that's why I prefer ignorance over stupidity.
Question 3: what turns you on?
It turns me on a nice thick cigar.
Sometimes a cigar is just a cigar.
Yeah, it is just a cigar. Yeah. It's like, I'm a big cigar fan, FYI.
Indeed.
Yeah, no.
It's like it's a one-piece trope, those cigars.
Well, as a villain fan, I understand the cigar aficionado.
Hopefully
Maybe one day I'll cram like 4 cigars in my mouth and be like, "Hey, it's me." Yeah.
I don't know how he does that. Besides,
the true talent is able to yell and have that cigar just float in air, just wait for you to finish yelling. So that's
got to be part of his power that he's able to do that. It doesn't make sense.
He's probably got just a smoke hand holding that cigar in his mouth.
Question number 4: what turns you off?
Turns me off. What does turn me off? Awkward silences. Oh God, it's happening.
Now we just turned you off.
I saw that one coming.
What sound or noise do you love?
Ooh, what sound or noise? In fall when the leaves are, or is it? Yeah, it's fall. When just the leaves are, falling and they're nice and brown and crunchy, and just step in them and it's just like, it's very satisfying. Just step in a pile of leaves and just hear that crunch.
Yeah, that's true.
What sound or noise do you hate?
Ooh, what sound or noise do I hate? That's another interesting one. I never think of the negatives too much. I would guess the thing that would... this is a hard one.
Besides awkward silences.
Yes, but besides that one, I would have to say, but I don't... What was the question again? I'm sorry.
What sound or noise do you hate?
The context is I hate hearing farts, but if no one, like, if there's no follow-up, like, oh, sorry, excuse me. If it's just like a fart and there's nothing else, just like, all right.
So you're the lingering fart.
No one's going to comment?
No one's going to comment. Come on.
Okay, I can appreciate that.
Because usually I think the most common answer we've had for favorite sound is fart. So I think this
fart?
is so this is the first time I've heard least favorite sound is fart. If no one comments,
but it's a specific fart. It's like you look it up in the dictionary, fart, comma, no one comments.
The fart, no one takes advantage of.
If you fart, you own up. I'll be like, okay. Well, if you fart, and it's just a rank one, I'm just like, so you're gonna be that guy, huh?
And you're in the elevator and there's only one other person there and there's a fart and you're like, come on, I know it was you. There's only us.
Was it me? It was you.
Okay, shutting down this elevator. We're not leaving here until someone fesses.
Go ahead,
Ed. What is your favorite curse word?
What is my favorite curse word? Ooh, I can't go with the traditional, the 4-letter F word. That's too much. That's too easy.
Well, you'd be in good company if you did.
It's just the one that comes to mind. It's like, Wait, I don't know. Do we have?
You can swear if you want. It's fine.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's also not really a swear, but in a way, I kind of treat it. It's like I treat it as a swear, but it's just to censor myself. But I love it anyway. Instead of damn it, I say dumb it.
I like that.
That one also stolen from Tim and Eric. I love a lot of the made up words they have on that show.
Mm-hmm.
Love made up words. Go ahead.
Question number 8. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
What profession other than my own would I like to do? I've always been interested in doing sound design and ADR because doing online voice acting, not professionally for so many years, I had to do a lot of audio editing on my own and just kind of learn the ropes. And I've enjoyed it, and I would like to actually expand upon that. Actually, I've actually wanted to try to get into it in the professional sense.
Yep.
So, still working on that.
All right. What profession would you not like to do?
What would I not like to do? There's a lot I wouldn't like to do. There's just some bad jobs out there. Just any job involving heights. I'm terrified of heights, and I don't like dealing with them. So if like fixing telephone poles, being a firefighter, anything like that, where I have to just, get a little high in the air, I'm just like, oh, please let me down.
It's a new one, yeah. It's understandable now.
Yeah. And finally, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
You're not on the list.
If you bring 5 hot chicks and pay the cover fee.
I was almost thinking you're not on the list. Let me go talk to my manager.
You have the velvet rope it's behind a velvet rope.
I'll check back at the when the universe restarts. Maybe then.
You gotta unplug it and replug it again.
Dumb it.
So Chris, it's been a pleasure having you on. What can people look forward to you? I don't know what you're able to talk about, but that you are able to talk about that you might be in or that they could check you out at.
Nothing I can say of current projects right now I can say without breaking NDAs, but you can follow me over at Facebook. I have a fan page, Chris Guerrero voice actor, and also I have a Twitter, Chris Guerrero, Chris Guerrero VA, or I'm not quite sure how you do it. Is it at Chris Guerrero VA? Is that how the Twitter setup is?
We'll put a link to it in the description.
Sweet.
Yeah,
we'll take care of it.
But yeah, I guess I'll try to do this. I usually stand up, but I feel like the fans would be gypped if I didn't do this. So,
thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Chris.
Yeah, you guys have a good one.
You too.
This is the Toonami Recap for episode 270. Give Robin back. Luffy versus Bluno. One of the more...
Wait. We have 2 episodes this week, Ed. If one wasn't enough for you. We also have... I have the notes for this in case you get lost, which you won't be because it's very simple. We also have episode 269, Robin Betrayed, the Motive of the World Government. Now, of course, I think what happens in 2 episodes is equivalent to around a quarter of an episode, so... We'll probably be through this relatively quick. As you recall, we didn't have a Toonami recap last week because we had the Volume 75 recap.
Right. But, I mean, and there wasn't a lot. Last week's episode was worse than this one.
Let's just go through ratings really quick. We only have, I think, September 6th. There was an Attack on Titan marathon before that, so this is going to be for 269. 760,000 people tuned in for that. Still pretty good. Beat everything else afterwards, so that's good. At 1:30 a.m., it also got 504,000 people between the ages of 18 and 49. As per usual, it also ranked number 1 in its time slot among adults 18 to 24 and 18 to 34, and men 18 to 24 and 18 to 34. Last year, to put things in perspective, One Piece at 1 a.m. got a 954,000 with a 0.8 household. We don't have the household ratings this time. I don't know why. You can find that and more at ToonamiFaithful.com. Why don't we get into the episode?
Yep. Episode 269, Robin Betrayed, the Motive of the World Government. The recap on this one was only about 5.5 minutes long, which is
I'm
short.
glad you're writing these down.
Well, I mean, including the song. So this is actually pretty short for this arc.
Yeah, well, the song is only 15 minutes on Toonami. 15 seconds on Toonami. That would be long.
Right. But, I mean, on the... it's 1:50, I think, on the...
yeah.
On the DVD.
Something like that. So it was probably around 4 minutes for you guys watching out there.
Yeah, I do have notes for this, but I did watch it 2 weeks ago.
So 3 weeks ago, the question was, where did Luffy go?
Right.
Probably where the giant explosion is the answer to that question. So we find out that I wrote Kaku, but I meant Paulie fired the Gali Law traders. He says out loud, I'm going to tell those guys they're fired. Just want to take some pleasure in that. So the recap continues, and we get the opening after Spandam starts kicking Robin, and I think it's just Robin and Frankie are in there with Spandam in the prior episode. So then we get into the real episode.
And she starts having like memories and stuff, and
the
single tear, which appears also in this week's episode. In the because I rewatched the intros on 1.5 speed, which is hilarious.
I wish we could do that on television, but I've actually been staying up and watching these the last two. Actually, this was my first week, I think, watching Attack on Titan since it came on to Toonami, because the ironic part about Toonami is that I get home usually late enough to start watching it at around 12 something, like around when Space Dandy comes on.
Yeah.
I
had a lot of people tell me this week that they didn't like Attack on Titan that much, and I was trying to defend it because I enjoyed when I watched it. Like, was it 6 months ago? I guess when I watched it, and then they were talking about specific things that they couldn't stand, like what about the series, and I was like, I don't remember that happening. Then I remembered I don't remember any of the plot of Attack on Titan.
Me neither. It's an enjoyable show, and we're going to stop this discussion in a minute, but it's an enjoyable show. I just don't. For me, it has no rewatchability. I'm not going to go back and watch it again, probably. Yeah. I look forward to the second season when that comes out in a few years, probably.
It also kind of suffers from the syndrome of none of the characters being good people or particularly likable.
Well, it's like One Piece, where it has a very good overarching like world plot, but unlike One Piece, the characters are uninteresting to me or annoying.
Right.
Like I'm interested in their backstories a little because they hinted it a little bit, but I'm not interested in that.
If these characters had backstories, they'd have motivations.
Yeah, but it's a good series,
and they do.
Yeah, I mean that's not to disparage it. That's for critiquing, I think, more than anything. I mean, it is certainly a phenomenon along the lines of One Piece at the moment, but I think One Piece has endured a little more. I think most of the people listening are going to be One Piece fans, so I don't think I'm going to offend too many people here. Anyway, we were talking about the anime, and we're getting off track because not much happened. So basically,
we were talking about how Spandam has altered the deal with Robin.
Let's pray I alter it any further.
Yes, I actually went and watched that clip from Star Wars so I could get that line right.
Oh, really?
I'm altering the deal. Pray I do not alter it any further. I'm no James Earl Jones, though.
No one is. It's hard.
I mean, Spandam he's technically correct, which is the best kind of correct.
And this really just goes to show: read or listen to the contract carefully before agreeing to it.
Also, he's kind of right. I mean, it's not like it's a technicality. What's he supposed to do? Just let them attack him?
Yeah, I mean, if you were in Spandam's position and not a douchebag, with that.
Well, pirates are usually bad people.
Yeah, I mean, normally, and plus they're attacking your soldiers, they're destroying your property, which I might say is government property. That stuff, it takes a while to get the bureaucracy rolling to rebuild that. So, it's understandable. I wouldn't be that surprised about that. I mean, look, come on. Yeah. What did you expect?
We have a brief scene of Luffy rampaging on the island after that.
And then we go back, I think, to Spandam, talking about Frankie's going to go to Impel Down, Robin's going to go to Navy headquarters, but take precautions with Frankie because he's extremely dangerous and likes to bite Spandam's head, which we saw.
And CP9 just sort of sits around while it happens and doesn't really care.
Well, the great thing about CP9 is they don't give a shit about Spandam. They're like, I guess we got to listen to you. I think he basically says that in this episode or a previous episode.
Well, yeah, that's what happens. Well, after Bluno notices that the receiver is off from the Den Den Mushi, all the CP9 are getting up, and Rob Lucci's sort of like, you know what? We just like to kill. Oh, yeah, we have to listen to you, so we do. But yeah, fuck you, Spandam.
We like having the privilege to kill. We just want blood.
Yes.
We have a commercial break. We come back. I mean, that was a pretty interesting for the new material we had. I mean, again, the manga has good stuff here. It just goes so slow in the anime. Anyway,
yeah.
We go to.
It's not that the content is bad. That was half an episode.
Exactly. Like, that's good content because we just summarized it for you in probably the same amount of time it took to watch it, actually. Sodom and Gomorrah, we see heading toward the center of Enies Lobby. Meanwhile, we see Luffy fleeing to some sort of rooftop, but the Marines somehow coordinate jumping up there. I don't know if you remember this scene, Ed, but I was like, what the hell is going on here? And so Luffy just uses his Gum rocket, gets the hell out of there. Meanwhile, Sanji's chibi head continues to march forward into Enies Lobby.
Chopper talks to animals, and we get the secret origin story of Sodom and Gomorrah.
The secret origin. Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Chopper does a Sodom voice.
He also does a Frankie impression, which I thought sounded exactly like season 1 South Park Cartman. I suggest people, if you have the opportunity, to go back and listen to that and tell me if you agree or disagree. It's probably not worth that much effort just to do that, but I really thought it sounded like that. Also, we all noticed that Sodom noticed, I should say, that Sniper King never made it on. That's a little weird. So we go then to the Dog Squad, which is...
I don't care.
With Lulu and Tilestone. It's amazing I even remembered their names.
And did you notice, like, when we were watching these episodes, that they use that animation of Tileston sticking out his arm and shooting that cannon in, like, they used it, I think they used it in last week's episode. They use it in this episode, and they use it in the one and they use it in the one that aired this week.
Oh my god, you're right. You've discovered the secret Tilestone clip that keeps getting reused, and no one cares because it's Tilestone.
Yeah. It's like that scene from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Like, the animation got reused, I think, in the Jungle Book or something.
Really? Oh god.
Yeah, Disney was reusing animation in the 60s. Yeah.
Oh, it was the 60s, you know. Anyway, so the Dog Squad's there. Paulie has his hands filled with the Marines and flashbacks. That's what I wrote. I guess he was having flashbacks.
Yeah.
Then we go back to, I don't know what happens with that. Oh, Tilestone and Lulu just defeated the Dog Squad. That's all that happened with them?
Yeah.
That's really uneventful.
Luffy made it to the courthouse.
He did, and it will be 4 episodes from now until that concludes. So we see Blue Nose there. Blue Nose from the bar.
Some good shots there. Some good. They zoom in on Luffy and like the camera perspective goes through like Blue Nose's legs. It's all right, but doesn't make up for the rest of this episode being nothing.
Well, let's get right into the next one since they're basically a continuation.
And this episode 270, Give Robin Back, Luffy versus Blue Nose. The
worst title ever. First off, that doesn't what. That's not at all what happens.
One of the more misleading episode titles of all time.
I think this episode
is really about Dory and Brogy,
which is why
which is fine.
Which is fine, which is good. Just come on, Toei usually is very good at naming episodes after exactly everything that happens in that episode. But this is
if you're watching the DVD version of this with the full intro, it's 6.5 minutes from the beginning to the title card.
The thing is, if you ignore that
6.5 minutes,
if you ignore the 6.5 minutes, I gotta say this is a solid episode. They should have just made it a short episode, like a 15-minute episode. It would have been fine, because a lot does happen in what is new. We start out with Chopper. How much of this is actually new material? Is in what I'm reading. Chopper explains that Sniper King isn't going to replace Usopp. Sanji explains that he's a superhero. It's okay.
Yeah, he's using reverse psychiatry.
Paulie is actually kicking some ass, it looks like. The animation was pretty good in this episode, right? I don't think I had any qualms with it, considering it's in this lobby.
They do that weird washed out sort of ethereal thing when they're doing the flashback.
Yeah.
But they do that in a lot of flashbacks. And even here, Usopp doesn't run away. So steak and salad right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Usopp is very, very determined not to run away right here.
Yeah.
And
that's a very
going into a lot of danger. A lot of danger. He could have run away.
That's true. Actually, this is very apropos to steak and salad, which anime viewers have no idea what we're talking about, and we apologize. Anyway, Sniper King almost drowns in Oriomo's tears and realizes something is happening here. And Oriomo tells a story. 100 years ago, when they visited a certain island with 2 other giants that we have not yet revealed the name of, but are very familiar to,
I wonder how confusing this was for anime-only watchers.
You mean anime-only watchers that haven't seen
Toonami-only watchers.
Toonami-only one, yeah.
Yeah. If they've only been watching, like, on the episodes on Toonami, if they haven't gone back, like... I guess the flashback is there to explain it all, but like, I can imagine if you were just watching Toonami, this sort of comes out of nowhere. If you haven't been set up from the past to know that there are these giants, there is this island, and you sort of make that connection. It comes out of the blue if you haven't seen any of that.
Well, think of it this way. I think it's actually fine because not only is the flashback, I'm going to say like 90% of the new material in this episode, which is fine, but I think of it like watching any other series. You find out about someone's backstory. I mean, it's essentially like that. Yeah. I don't think, and it goes through everything and just about, except for like the little stuff with like Mr. 3 and not Mr. 3. Well, Mr. 3 was there, but what am I thinking? And Mr. 5 and Ms. Which
is it Valentine?
That might have been Valentine.
Yeah.
We're gonna get yelled at right now. Anyway, so what is with Orimo's voice, by the way? Yeah, it just was a little grating to me. Is that just me, or he was also weeping? Not really. So I guess.
Yeah, it's what I imagine a stupid giant sounds like. You know, he sounds like an idiot.
He's not. I mean, they're not idiots.
They're simple-minded.
I guess maybe, I don't know. I don't think you're discriminating against giants just because they're giants, Ed.
Just because they sound that way.
Anyway, they went to this island, which we know to be Little Garden, and argued which is bigger, and by that I mean the fish. So don't have your minds in the gutter.
The 3 centimeters matters, man.
The Marines, what? We find out that Orimo and Kashi went back to find Ori and Brogy after they had been, I guess, there for 50 years, arguing about this. And the Marines intercepted Orimo and Kashi and said, look, we captured them, you have to work for us for 50 years, then we'll let all of you guys go. But Sniper King knows what really happened. I'm sorry, for 100 years they have to work. They've worked for 50 years. They're like, no big deal, we live like 300-400 years. I'm sorry, that's still a huge deal. That's still like, an eighth or fourth of your life?
Yeah, a lot.
It's a lot, depending on how long they live.
It's a third of their life. They live to be 300 years.
All right, 100 years. Well, they've already spent, a sixth of their life.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
They're middle-aged.
Yeah. That's the prime of Orimo and Kashi's life that they're wasting. Anyways, Sniper King fills them in. That's not what happened. Ori and Brogy are still fighting, and he goes through like the impressions of them and how he knew their name and their backstory. I could tell you anything. And we come back from the commercial break, and he's, after a little more of a Little Garden recap, he's like, look, you guys are like my teacher. You're like my pastor, I think he said. I think he said that because it was, I didn't write it down, but I remember him saying something like a religious leader. I think pastor is what he said.
Okay.
Meanwhile,
you know what there hasn't been in this episode?
What?
Luffy and Bluno.
That's weird because the title suggests that there is Luffy and Bluno.
And we're over halfway through the episode at this point.
Way more. Well, not of new material.
Yeah, about halfway through the new material.
So meanwhile, Sodom's been hit, and it doesn't look
sad animals.
And in his last word, he says, "Go!" And they all jump off of him. And then we get Bluno versus Luffy finally, and it's a pretty cool little scene. Well, it's like a minute.
Yeah, it's about 3 minutes, and they do some cool fight, choreography stuff, and he punches him through the big cement thing, and
he actually gets the better of him.
Yeah. Well, he gets 2 punches in, and they look really good. But they also do the discussion about the flag. To wage war on the flag is to wage war on all the countries of the world government, and I thought that was pretty well done. It was a nice little reminder.
So what did you think of these episodes? In order?
I liked this episode.
670?
No,
I mean 270.
I mean combined, they would make a very good episode.
Yes, I agree. I
like that they reanimate Little Garden.
Yeah, that was nice. Very cool.
Yeah, but yep.
Yeah,
these episodes happened. I mean, there's some good episodes coming up pretty quickly.
273, I think, are some of my favorites of this arc. Definitely, are very soon. They're coming up very soon. Probably by the end of the month or beginning of next month, we're getting into some really good stuff here.
Oh, yeah.
And then we get into Flashback, which is fine, actually, for Toonami listeners. It's going to be my first time watching those. So
Really? You've never actually watched them?
I never watched Why would I watch the Flashback episodes? I marathon through this. I'm like, oh, yeah, now I need to see what I just did. Again.
I did it when I went back and got them on DVD. Do you still not own these episodes?
No, I'm buying them. I'm buying the collection sets.
Right,
now,
right.
Because I was gone for a year, so.
Yeah.
I guess that's everything.
That's the Toonami recap for
That's
this
the double Toonami recap, taking just about as much time as new material in a One Piece episode. Let's go on to the next segment.
Okay. This is the anime recap for episode 661, a showdown between the warlords, Law versus Doflamingo.
I think Ed and I were talking a little before Steve's joining us in now, since we just finished the Toonami recap. This was a good episode, right?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
there was a lot of good animation in this episode.
So I guess we could get started. We start. Do you want me to start it? No?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So we start with Luffy finally meeting up with Zoro Kinemon, which happened a little bit in the last episode. And they all talk very loudly as to not expose their cover. Meanwhile, here comes Bellamy, who's, ready to kill
Bellamy's
Luffy.
Bellamy's a very serious character. He has internal conflicts. He's actually like the most well, that's not true. He's a pretty tragic character.
I was gonna say
the most tragic character.
maybe exaggeration.
Slightly, yeah.
You're giving
entire
Bellamy a
royal
little too
family.
much credit.
A little bit.
Yeah. But yeah, I like Bellamy. So
So he's having a crisis of conscience, and all Luffy
there was some
says... Yeah, go ahead.
there was some good cinematography there, where he drops
Really
the
good.
knife, and the knife stays in the foreground as he's walking away, and we see Luffy in the background. And I thought it was an interesting choice.
And Luffy kind of notices something's awry, but and he continues talking to Zoro, and it fades out. I like that whole scene. It was very well put
Somebody left a knife here. Anybody lose a knife?
together. And Steve, what about this part here? Here comes a character that you're somewhat familiar with.
It was okay.
First off, his pants were definitely more revealing than I thought.
Okay. Yes, it's the anime debut of Dellinger, and what a debut it is. Seems like right off the bat, Toei really wanted to say, "Okay, everybody, this is a boy." And if you don't know what I'm talking about that obvious bulge in his short shorts.
Yeah, I'll be honest, Steve. I didn't notice that.
No, I noticed that too. It's,
Dude gave me a warning because dude saw the episode before me. He says like, Dellinger is like rocking a bulge.
Was it that noticeable?
it's very noticeable.
Oh boy, I was.
Come on, you should be staring at that, Ed. What are you doing?
I was listening to his voice more.
Well,
Yes.
his voice, I thought, was very fitting considering our interpretation. I didn't think it was that far off from the idea that we had.
His voice gets all weird when he starts threatening people. It's a nice feature.
Isn't that very similar to was it Pride maybe in FMA? I feel like you have that higher pitched voice, and then they get angry.
Not even on that kind of level though. I mean, it sounds like a little kid, and then it gets dark. This is really high pitched, and then it gets really dark.
But yeah, any other thoughts, Steve? On the...
Animation was a little wonky here and there, but it's so great to see one of my new favorites in the anime now.
Yeah.
I'm anticipating one more scene and then not anything for a while.
Yeah.
You mentioned the animation being off in that scene, but I think they saved the animation budget for the fight between Law and Doflamingo that goes on directly afterward.
Yeah. Do you want to go on to the next part here?
Sure. Dofi's just tearing the town up pretty much. Oh, he's tearing out the bridge up first. And they do a lot of sort of choreography and animation where they're not using a lot of quick cuts, and the characters sort of have spatial relativity to each other, which can be a problem in these sort of like hyperkinetic action movie type sequences. And it makes the action a lot easier to comprehend and a lot more entertaining, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah, the manga is sometimes a little difficult to follow with this kind of stuff.
Well, it's also part of the limitation.
With law, it's very, very complicated to follow law in the manga.
Clearly, the budget went into all these Doflamingo and law scenes.
I thought the budget throughout this episode was very high compared to the usual what we usually see. It looked very
a good
crisp.
episode.
Yeah,
I just didn't think Dellinger looked as good, if I must say.
Yeah. I mean, okay, we didn't get Dellinger in the book.
He kind of almost had a crocodile.
He's not poorly animated. He's just a weird-looking character.
Yeah. I don't know. He kind of had a crocodile neck going at one point.
Bellamy actually looked correct. He also
Bellamy's a beefcake now. So
Bellamy is smaller in this episode, actually, than he seems to be in the manga these days.
Yeah, he was a little absurd, I think. Yeah. Anyway, so
and Doflamingo has acquired. I mean, he's always sort of been able to fly because of his power, but I really always used to complain about in other series when characters spontaneously learned how to fly. But this one, it kind of makes sense. So
he attaches himself to clouds. I mean, there's an explanation. It doesn't. At least it's not like Bleach, where they're suddenly flying for no reason.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, Law's power not doing very well. Seems to be dissipating as this fight progresses. Meanwhile, Doflamingo receives a call that he lets ring for a very long time. Is this a running joke?
Filler.
Because this is at least the 5th time in this series that this has happened. It happened in Marineford when Luffy's about to enter Marineford or something. I recall the ringing phone for a long time.
Yes. No, that's like a half an episode for that one, right?
There was one that was at least 4 minutes. I think we timed it or something. And it's happened since then many times. And it happens twice in this episode. Not just once, but twice.
For the sake of the plot, this scene was pretty much, are you going to get it? I'm not gonna get it. Are you gonna get it?
But it's in your pocket.
That's like I forgot what happened in the manga, so all I could think was, who's calling who again? I guess we'll have to wait and see.
That's the only negative part of this episode, but it was really obvious and very odd. It definitely took me out of it. And it's Diamante on the line.
Well, but first, Doflamingo kneecaps Law.
Oh, while that's going on, yes.
Yeah.
It's simultaneously.
It's like, oh, am I interrupting something, boss? Sorry.
No, it's fine. Don't worry about it. So, yeah, Diamante is on the line, and he is talking about how Violet has switched sides and betrayed them.
But whose side is she on?
No, she betrayed us. We know what side she's on.
But Ed, he also said one other thing that I forgot to write down for some reason.
Steve, he said one other thing.
Steve doesn't know.
You mean his bit?
Yeah, he has his bit. They wanted him to take...
I'm not a fan of
the Diamante bit.
Of Diamante's bit. I just don't think it's ever really gone anywhere.
I think it might be like a Japanese sort of cultural joke about the relationship between a person and a subordinate. I don't know what it's about. I'm just spitballing shit here.
I just felt like Diamante is kind of like the least interesting one right now of his officers. So
Pika's not terribly interesting either.
Pika has, he's got something.
That's for sure. All right, so Doflamingo finally puts 2 and 2 together here. Law's distracting him so they could destroy the factory. The animation gets even nicer here, I made note.
You see the veins on Doflamingo's face bulge when he talks about the Will of D?
Yeah. Now that really pisses Doflamingo off. My theory that I wrote here was that as a celestial dragon, maybe the Ds are known to be kind of that... we thought it was the lineage from the... Do we know if it's the lineage from the Void Century, the ancient kingdom?
We don't know anything.
That's a theory.
That's a theory? Okay. I think it makes sense given that response. And now we know that Doflamingo is a celestial dragon. He's mentioned it, I think, more than once at this point.
Hey, I'm Celestial Dragon, do you know? Just so you know.
Doflamingo likes talking about it.
Hey, want to hear more about me?
We go outside the Coliseum. And
but first we have this shot that the camera sort of goes in through Law's eye, and then the blood sort of shoots out next. I thought it was a nice shot.
Yeah, it was surprising.
It was the detail on the characters was it looked cool, but it was a little too much for me. Like I said, I don't like One Piece being over rendered. It looked like a DBZ team took over this scene.
It's actually possible that's exactly what happened.
It was very kind of it started to go a bit, at least Law more than Dofi got really off model.
I would go outside the Coliseum where Luffy is spotted by a Marine who is with Vice Admiral Bastille. The Vice Admiral says, what we're going to do when they all leave the Coliseum, we're going to capture them. I'm sure that'll work. And as they're listing the people like Don Chinzhou and Sai and Boo, they forget who they are. Their memories fade of those characters. That's really all there is there, unless you have.
So let's drag this scene out.
On the
then we get a big conference call of exposition.
Right. Yeah. So this part's a little more important. So on the
I think it's one like, hey, in case you couldn't tell that everyone forgets about people once they turn into toys, let's beat it over your head for like a minute.
So we have that. Frankie makes his big speech, which I think I still agree that this is definitely Frankie's shining moment here.
Like I said, it was nice to see that Frankie for once had a scene like this instead of like Nami or Usopp.
I can't believe this was a year ago we did this in the manga. This feels very recent.
Almost a year ago.
Yeah. And also Frankie's tiny hands take off his sunglasses.
Yes.
I also love how the transponder snail changes the eyes every time someone else talks, like Usopp and Frankie goes back and forth. So just to refresh everyone's memory, we have Usopp, Frankie, and Robin with the Riku army, the Tontadas. We have Luffy, Zoro, Kinemon at the Coliseum, and Sanji, Momonosuke, Caesar, Nami, and Brook on the boat.
Yes.
So Frankie is talking about the toy soldier and how we can't follow Law's plan. They can't just leave Doflamingo in charge here, because then what the hell is going to happen to all these people? And he can't let the Riku army down, because, come on, look at them. Luffy says, look, you're good to go all out. And he'll be there soon. Yeah, that's going to happen. Meanwhile, Fujitora arrives back in Dressrosa, but something is happening. Buildings are being cut in half and sliced in all different directions, and there comes Law like a bullet.
I love that entire scene. I thought it was awesome to watch.
I do not remember that happening in the manga, so it's cool to see that.
You can see him like flying through the sky and crashing into the ground. It's nice. Then he gets shot Bilmir style.
Yeah, several times. Again.
3 times.
And again and again. I'm sorry.
This was very gruesome, the scene. It felt really painful, those gunshots. And we all know that guns aren't really that painful in One Piece.
Did you notice how they changed the color palette for the very last scene?
Was it? I remember it going all teal.
Well, with Luffy, when Luffy's like, no! Dofi.
Luffy was blue.
Yeah, he was.
It was a very
Luffy was feeling mighty blue.
Imagery.
Yeah. So, what do you guys think of the episode?
I thought
there were a lot of fun parts in it.
From beginning to end, this was a pretty solid episode. It had a lot of different things going on: action, drama, romance.
I don't think there was any romance. But no, it was a good episode. This was a solid episode. I think they've been handling this arc relatively well, considering their track record over the last few years.
At this point, like, Punk Hazard started to wane on me. I've not in love with every single episode that comes out. I have yet to grow tired of the anime adaptation of this arc.
You said Punk Hazard. Did you mean Dressrosa?
Yeah. No, I meant Punk Hazard. When Punk Hazard started to wane on me in the anime.
Oh, okay. I see. Yeah, they've been doing a better job, I think, since we've left Fishman Island. But, I mean, they're still not, in their glory days. But I think the directing has been getting a little bit better.
Well, the directing is good occasionally. It's good periodically. It's not that consistent. But this stretch has been some of the more consistently decent anime. I mean, it's not spectacular every week. No. They don't have great direction every week, but they have as Steve was saying, I haven't gotten tired of it. I haven't like gone weeks without watching it because
And now we said we were going to do this. I meant to do this more. This from Crossword on AP. We have the information for the directors and such. We have a new director in this episode for Satoshi Ito, and an animation director is Kazuya Hisada, whom Crossword gives 3.5 stars. You can find out more information like that on AP forums. I think they have an entire anime study of One Piece animation thread, which is always interesting to check out for new and old animators alike. It's just sometimes hard to navigate through 220 pages of what's essentially an encyclopedia with discussion. But I suggest you look it out if you haven't. Look it up if you haven't. Anyway, let's go into the next segment. You guys ready?
Cool.
Indeed.
Today's episode of the One Piece podcast is sponsored by Kolektakon. Go to kolektakon.com/OnePiece for your Mega House One Piece merchandise. And I am excited to say there are some new figures out available for pre-order now. We still have Robin, Law, Mihawk, Child Rebecca, Child Soldier, Hancock, Fujitora, and Sugar. But there are 4 new figures. We're going to go through some of them today. We have a new Luffy, we have a new Whitebeard, we have a new Frankie, and we have a new Ace.
And actually, the new Luffy is a sort of opposable Variable Action Heroes One Piece Monkey D. Luffy from Mega House.
Yeah, it looks a lot like the SH figure arts. It's got a whole lot of articulation to it.
Mm-hmm.
I think this one looks a lot smoother and nicer than that one.
Yeah, because this one looks like it's actually developed by Mega House, and this is a really nice sculpt.
Which do you guys want to go through next, or stick out particularly?
I would say check out the Whitebeard, because the Whitebeard POPs have always been impressive to me. And if you've got $160?
No, this one's it says $89.95.
No, but if you have twice that amount of money, you can buy the Frankie.
Oh yes.
Yeah, if you're gonna clear out a whole bunch of shelf space, I think that's the one you really want. Look at all the stuff he comes with, and he's gigantic. And I mean, it's Frankie. How could
he comes up with a thumbs up hand?
Yeah, you can reenact that awesome scene in Film Set where he gives the.
And he has the whole toolkit, and he has the mini
multiple hair.
You know what? If you're gonna buy a POP
coming out of his shoulders,
if you're gonna buy a POP, might as well go all out and get the coolest one ever.
Yeah,
and the best thing is it's a great price at Kolektakon.
Yeah, normally it's $179.99, but it's only
I've seen it for upwards of $250.
Yeah, no, I've seen this one around for a lot. Wow, it's nice to see it back in stock. Was this in stock prior? I think it was, right?
Well, this is a pre-order.
Oh, it's a pre-order, so it will be in stock.
Yes, these are pre-orders. And speaking of pre-orders, I gotta say I'm not tremendously huge on Ace, but the new Ace figure that's coming out, the Neo DX 10th Anniversary Limited Edition Ace, has the finest sculpt I think I've seen on a Mega House POP in quite some time.
Yeah, I like the backpack and the log pose and everything. Looks good.
Look at his eyes. His eyes even have irises. It's crazy.
Which is weird in One Piece.
It usually means they're in trouble, or something dire is happening. Oh, you can see their irises thing.
And it comes with multiple faces, including Smirk. And I'm happy for some reason, even though you've never seen me like this. I think once.
No, he's on his way to deliver milk to the Marines.
Oh right, forgot about that sad story.
Yeah.
So actually, probably some of my favorite figures to come out in a while here. So you can check those all out at Kolektakon.com. And check out the new figures that are coming out. Stay up to date at blog.kolektakon.com. We'll also post those on our Tumblr and Twitter, so you could stay in the loop with what's going on with them. Thanks to them, as always, for sponsoring us this week. One final time, go to kolektakon.com/OnePiece. Why don't we get right back into the show, guys?
All right.
Sounds good.
This is the manga recap for chapter 760, The Same Bet. Ed, why don't we start off here on the cover page?
All right. On the cover page, we have the continuing adventures of Jinbei, first son of the sea, and I'm not sure who it was, but someone told Zach that they would be excited by the exclamation points.
Yes, I'm always excited by the exclamation points.
What should we?
Sun Pirates exclamation point.
The sunclamation point.
I like naming punctuation. I think it's something that needs to be done more in these kind of podcasts.
And here we see Jinbei reading the newspaper, like,
now I have a couple. There's actually some questions with this. Is it when this newspaper came out? Is he reading it, or is it an old newspaper? So either we're going back in time a little bit to see Jinbei's adventure here, or he's just behind on the news.
I don't think we've ever heard we've never quite heard the confirmation of when a lot of these cover stories actually take place. I always assume they take place like immediately after like the arc that the character came from. Like this is happening right after Fishman Island, and actually it's happening right after, or maybe this is happening. No, this is actually probably happening during.
Well, no, it's during the end of Punk Hazard.
It has to be
because
the end at this point.
they've announced the alliance, so.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense, because I'm sure Jinbei was... Oh, well, he was going to deliver something, right? I forgot what he did at the end of Fishman Island, jeez.
Well, he delivered caribou to...
Oh, right. We saw him in the last cover story, so, yeah, okay. So this is after he was coming back from delivering caribou. Wow, we actually...
you know what? I'm so sorry. Good friend of mine pointed this out. Chapter 700...
Yeah.
See Jinbei looking at the newspaper.
Is it this exact spread? I forgot. 700 now was...
Well, it's not like he looked at the first page of the newspaper like, interesting story. I'll read some more in 2 weeks.
Good point.
It was the big reveal of Law and Luffy's alliance. We see Jinbei looking at the newspaper. So now, hello, alternate angle.
Maybe he's just really forgetful.
So
Oda?
I got so wrapped
Jinbei.
up. I got so wrapped up with that cat crying and the town being overturned. I forgot.
There's also something interesting here, and for if you zoom in on his right, did you guys notice this? On his like right shoulder, there are two weird characters there. I think one looks like Lucy. Lucy.
What?
Oh, I was thinking of Bruce.
over his
On
right
Jinbei's,
shoulder.
over Jinbei's left shoulder,
Yeah.
of his right on the right side of the page.
I mean, the people that are just...
Yeah, like the stick figure looking people.
I think they're just like...
Am I being Greg right now? I apologize.
Yes, you are. Very much so.
I don't know. One looks like it has that beard.
You're a Greg Zach.
The other one does look like
crap.
Sailor Moon, so maybe I'm looking too far into this.
Okay, so it's Lucy and Sailor Moon.
grasping at straws here, trying to make any more sense out of this revelation.
No, I'm sorry. That stood out to me when I opened this page.
It's a Hokotate question.
Yeah, who's on the...
Who are those people?
There's actually a lot on this cover page, but I think we've discussed most of it, right? Any other thoughts? Steve, you want to start the chapter then?
What happened to Officer Barkley?
Well, those are the pressing questions.
I guess after Barbrady.
Maybe they're related.
Maybe they're not.
Steve, go ahead.
Before the palace steps, we see Koala, who looks like she's clenching the receiver, I guess, to like a transponder snail, and she's
she's like knocking on his head, saying, "Come on, aren't you listening? What are you doing?"
Okay, humor me here, because this is what it looked like to me, and I felt like it made a funnier joke. It almost kind of looks
setting
like
up for a bit.
Yes. Almost kind of looked like she was like talking to receivers, like, "Hello, are you listening?" When I guess now she's doing the Biff thing, like, "Hello,
McFly,
Sabo, hello."
Well, we do know. I have to assume Oda is a Back to the Future fan.
I'm talking to you,
second in command.
You world noble bug.
Well, no, he wasn't a world noble. He was just a regular noble.
Well, just regular noble.
You're ruining this gag that didn't exist in the first place.
I know, because I thought originally I I guess I didn't read the tappa tappa tappa. I always got to read the tappa 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 because I thought like it looked like she was speaking to the receiver. Like, it's like, are you listening? Do you hear me? And he's like, I hear you. And then it cuts to this. It pans out, and we just see that Koala's standing right next to him. So I thought, like, it was kind of funny.
And he's was he cross-legged, sitting on the ground?
Yeah, he's sitting on the ground, and she's like, she's just being the
girlfriend.
I was gonna say sister.
Okay, yeah, either
Remember
way.
what Mom and Dad said? You got
It's anime. What's the difference?
Low blow to anime. Mr. Anime wouldn't be happy about that.
Poor anime. Which is like, remember, you have a position. It's like you can't just go fighting Navy admirals, just because based off a personal grudge. It's like, and it's just like I said, my reasoning for Dragon and all them not showing up in Rainford. She says, do you want to get the revolutionaries involved in a war? And Saba says, but it was my bro. You bras wouldn't understand. Bros before. I don't want to call her a hoe.
Yeah.
Yeah, then don't.
I choose not to.
It's very simple.
She's a bro.
Bros before revolutionaries. There you go.
Actually, bros before revos. Go ahead, sorry.
Page 1.
Open to a scene that we never finish.
It's an A and B conversation, so see you later.
No, it's see your way out of it.
See you. Really?
Yeah.
Does it matter?
Kinda.
Why are we talking about this?
Why are we walking like this?
So she stretches his face, and he makes an adorable, ugly face. She's like, yes, it is. And he's like, "Arr." And he's like, what he said.
Hey, that's a pretty good impression.
What he said. Yeah, I should be Sabo, right? Yeah. Okay.
And those are the awkward silences we live for.
that we were talking about off air. Yeah. And
do we even know you?
I don't think so. Hi, I'm Steve. Hello. Hi. So it's like, well, she said, we're actually birds of a feather here.
Well, that's Stephen.
Sorry, I guess I don't know you guys.
I already have 2 pages.
Fine. Steve, go ahead.
This is like, we're actually birds of a feather here. The Navy can't be the hero to this country. It ain't our place. Sorry, that's a little too evil. It's like, it ain't our place. Like he's the most southern a Japanese man can be.
He's old Western.
What's that show? Deadwood. Yeah. He's the most Deadwood a Japanese man could be.
Well, he has some Deadwood with him, so that would.
We have this panel really zooms out, and I think this is Sabo saying, if anyone finds out what you're thinking, and Fujitora cuts him off, since it's like all they'll see is that I couldn't get past you. And Sabo says, it really is a gamble then. And Fujitora just goes, that's funny actually, because I gamble and I make lots of gambling references in my dialogue. And he says, I've got Lady Luck on my side. Well, my experience is no such thing as luck.
Well, yeah, we have seen Lady Luck be on his side, because first time we saw Fujitora, he won every single bet that he was making.
'Tis true. But
there's a lot of interesting stuff. We'll talk about this at the end.
Enough about that. Sure. Do you understand me? Hello. Sorry, I don't think Koala's going to sound that annoying.
No, I think Koala's going to be less annoying than that, hopefully.
And I think Sabo just responds with, huh? Like a typical dude. Huh? And Koala just starts barking. And we always get chewed out for your misadventures. Me and Jinbei's best friend, Hack. Well, we don't know if Hack is Jinbei's best friend.
No, they're best friends.
No.
Yeah.
But Jinbei is Hack's best friend.
Definitely.
I like the idea that even though they are I think technically his subordinates, it's like they're the ones who are responsible for Sabo. So they're like his babysitters, basically.
He hasn't changed much since he was a little kid.
Isn't that very similar to Luffy and his crew? Like, exactly the same.
But no one gets
Well, that's the thing.
They don't get blamed for his actions. Like, oh, who ate all the meat here? It's all that Chopper's fault. Got to be more responsible, Chopper.
Why is Chopper the scapegoat?
It's ironic.
He's a reindeer, not a goat. Anyway.
Scape deer.
Wow. Zach actually had a funny.
That was not that funny.
I thought for One Piece gags, that was pretty funny.
Thank you.
Bask in it. Enjoy it.
Well, I don't have the time to bask because you're.
I got to get my pages out of the way.
Yeah.
Former Royal Plateau. We get an Usopp speech bubble. We know because his face is in it. As you know, we see we're panning out once again, a big pan out. This is a really nice panel here because we see the former Royal Plateau. We see half of what Pika used to be, and we see Flower Hill, where the new where the castle is relocated. And Usopp saying, "What's going on? I thought you climbed up here to capture us." And I guess some random citizen says, "We can't. We shouldn't be doing this." As
we can't stop.
We can't. Thank you. We can't stop.
It's weird how they all together, after climbing up this precarious, weird fence ladder thing, decide, now I think it's time we stop.
This is weird though, because didn't they all like grab them and tie them up?
Yeah, that happened already. Yeah.
And then they thought, oh wait, this is wrong.
And then they cut their binds.
Yeah.
This is the point where we're gonna stop after doing all of that. It's
like, wow, that was a little too easy. It doesn't seem worth it anymore.
Yeah, that's the only qualm I think I have about this.
Want to be good? Yeah, let's be good.
Yeah.
But they said like, hey, for 10 long years we hated King Riku. Because, that night, you know, he was controlled by Doflamingo, and then we began praising a pirate. And now, after learning the truth, we still looked, to him for salvation through his little game. We don't know what we're doing anymore. What's going on? The citizens are so confused.
And then on the next page, with tears in their eyes, they beg King Riku to save them. And as everyone, we get a nice 2-page spread, and all the peasants bow down before the king, as they should.
He's like, oh, you weren't doing this like 2 hours ago.
You will all be banished to the dungeon.
You remember Die, Rebecca, Die? And down...
That was my granddaughter! It's actually a very touching scene.
No, it is.
Of course,
if you command us to fight, we will take up our weapons.
Ever since Greg pointed it out, I look for polka dots in Dressrosa, and they're pretty. There's a lot of those kind of designs here.
Well, this one guy has a Y shirt.
There is the Y shirt on the left side. There's a lot of polka dotted people. Yeah, okay, that's all I had to say about that. Go on, Ed.
But Riku actually suggests they wait and see, because he has come to believe in Luffy's victory. He has faith in Luffy. You can always, embrace death later if we have to. But
let's not think about that.
Yeah. And then Fujitora sort of enters the scene, and he says that Dressrosa once stood as the symbol of peace, and he's not going to let it fall into war. And everyone's sort of surprised at his appearance. Usopp kind of loses his mind.
Yeah, it's understandably.
Usopp making the duck face of fear.
Accurate.
He says that he's laying a straight bet on straw. And he tells King Riku, as it happens, you and I are betting on the same line.
And the titular line.
Yes.
I think right after Fujitora has his little cool, his cool little gambling monologue right there, someone should say, "Hey, why don't you go help him?" It's like just one random citizen's like, "Hey, yeah, why don't you go help him, huh, Mr. Tough Navy Admiral?"
I mean, it makes sense definitely that Riku and that crew can't really help them, but Fujitora, it shouldn't really get involved in it because Doflamingo, whether you like it or not, is still a warlord and technically part of the government.
We knew Fujitora wasn't going to play ball with Doflamingo forever. I mean, we had that one little bit of confrontation between them a while back when Fujitora was like, "Oh, by the way, I don't like you."
I don't like you either. By the way, what the fuck were they talking about to begin with? Like, it was some sort of deal. Like, they were like talking for a while, like him and Fujitora. Doflamingo and Fujitora. Like, they're striking up some sort of deal to...
Well, I think Fujitora is following orders of just to capture,
Law and
Straw Hats. Yeah. Well, not so much. To ask Law, I'm like, oh hey, are they your subordinates or is it equal lines? That was his whole mission. And the thing is, Fujitora was saying like, hey, I'm still just following my orders. I'm gonna play along for now, but But he's like, I'm quite aware of what you're up to here, you scumbag.
You scamp.
You little scamp. Hey!
Also, when Fujitora says, look, Dressrosa stood for a symbol of peace, I'm not going to let it fall into war. It has! Have you seen this city? It's literally been transformed.
He has not, Zach. He has not seen the city.
Oh, I forgot about that.
It's because he can't see.
I'm not going to let this country fall into war. Excuse me, Admiral. It's a little too late for that. There's a giant half guy over there.
You also threw a bunch of meteors into the city.
The kingdom moved.
Yeah, we could talk more about Fujitora a little later. Why don't we continue here?
To the palace.
To the palace.
Yes. To the palace, we get a long zoom shot here as we look up the steps of the Flower Hill, and then we can see the palace at the top, and then
I sense this being a very drawn out scene in the anime. Let's take you back to the first step, shall we? What happened on the first step? Remember the Funk Brothers trapping them in a well? It's just a bad anime filler.
Yeah.
Timmy O'Toole.
And we make our way all the way up to the top floor of the palace and the aftermath of the big attacks that closed out last week's chapter. Really cool, just sort of smoke rising on this middle panel with Luffy and Law kind of standing triumphant over the enemies. And Doflamingo is he's pretty worked up right now,
but he's smiling.
He always smiles.
He's smiling.
He's smiling. And maybe that's why Luffy's asking how he liked that, because he's still smiling. But no, Luffy's taunting him. He even, Doflamingo spits out a little thing of blood, which is a cool touch, something we have not seen happen to Doflamingo yet. And Law is kind of like, this is why I said, don't run off half-cocked and, do this stuff before we're ready, because it wasn't the knockout blow, and now we can't use this trick again. And Treble confronts Law, and he's saying that, hey, look, we know what your powers can do. This is something that we had our eye on from the very start. And it looks like he's trying to reassemble himself, but he just sort of falls apart into slices.
Props to Greg, who I think called this earlier in the week.
Yeah, he did. I believe he did say something like that. So Law points out that the radio knife, which is what he used on Treble to cut him into slices, basically prevents itself from attaching back together for several minutes. So Treble's basically out of it, and he's like, Treble, I got snot boogers.
Well, now he is in deep, deep trouble.
Now,
Yes,
let me ask you a question about snot boogers. Mm-hmm. Was that a wire reference?
No.
Okay.
He does. He keeps talking about how he gets hangers and like boogers popping out, and so I don't know. I just kind of come up with whatever off the cuff.
He is a boy's toy from the 1990s.
He's Booger Man, like the video game.
Fill him with this goo we made out of corn syrup, and just press the button and watch it ooze.
Yeah, it takes me back to all the old Ghostbusters toys.
Yeah.
I mean, this is targeted toward that audience, so actually it's very fitting. Probably one of the more fitting characters we've seen for that audience.
Two boys from the 1990s? Well, I guess since this started in 97.
No, but I'm sure boys today also have a fascination with boogers.
With gross stuff?
Yeah.
Gross stuff.
I'm 29 and I still have a fascination with boogers.
Well, there you go.
Where do they come from? Why are they here?
Anyway, Law...
Great boogers.
Law readies his injection using what we're going to call metaphorical crosshairs. And Treble's like...
On the crosshairs lately.
Treble's like, no, don't you remember? I cared for you. And then he's like, never mind. Snot Blade Catcher is his attack, which is as gross as it sounds.
It doesn't look like much of a blade, though.
It does look pretty damn lame.
No, it's like a blade catcher, like it's going to catch his blade. Like he's going to get his blade stuck in the snot bubble.
But the snot is the least of Law's issue, as Doflamingo, I think this is the real Doflamingo, comes in and, what is that? He kicks the sword out of the way. Law is a little taken aback. And Doflamingo prepares a string technique, which is Fall Bright, which I'm guessing ends in Ito in Japanese.
Yeah, that's right.
Something Ito.
Judge Ito.
That's his finishing move.
Judge Ito. If the glove does not fit, you must acquit.
That'd actually be great. And what ends up happening is Law gets taken by surprise and has a bunch of knife strings, I don't know what you want to call it, going straight through him in, I'm going to say 5 different points in his chest. He's been through a lot.
Hey, look, it's a Law guitar now.
Oh, yeah. So I'll play the Law guitar here.
La guitarra. La guitarra. Get it?
Actually kind of looks like he's playing a cello that's made out of himself. With the bow.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So that's...
I like that.
With a sword.
The La Viola?
La Viola.
I don't know why I went straight to that.
Viola isn't here right now.
Viola.
Dude, you could pick up from there.
All right, so that attack incapacitates Law. Luffy calls to him.
That looks painful.
That's gotta hurt. So Luffy calls to him, Traffy, and before he can finish his sentence, or I don't know, right after he finishes the sentence, whatever. It's not even a sentence. It's an exclamation. As soon as he's done exclaiming Law's name, he gets a hockey boot to the face via Doflamingo.
I think with a spin too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what happened.
Luffy's spinning.
Yeah, Luffy goes spinning after that.
Yeah. Luffy goes
but
flying.
Luffy did have an armament hockey block there as well, so it's strong.
Didn't look like it did much. Looks like Doflamingo just kicked him in the face. So he goes flying, and in midair, Doflamingo uses...
Well, I must add that then Doflamingo adjusts his fingers to make a shadow puppet of the Star Wars alien Ryu's.
It does kind of look like Ryu's.
Oh my god. What is wrong with you people?
What do you mean, you people?
What do you mean by what?
Go ahead.
So
were any of you guys annoyed that Luffy's going to be tied up
Oh my
again?
god, stop interrupting me.
No!
I feel like everybody else has been, I'm going to go ahead and talk about my page. But as soon as I start talking, hold on, let me say something. And I'm going to say something.
I thought my comments added a lot to this discussion.
Steve, yes, yours did. Steve gets to stay. The rest of you get the fuck out.
All right, I'm leaving.
Anyway, Steve, it's time for 20 minutes of bullshit. Let's go right now. Let's talk.
All right. Let's talk about Ryu's.
Yeah, so Ryu's, he's a Jabba's Palace denizen. Anyway, as I was saying, I'm sorry. I apologize, Zach, for...
But we should
Interrupting
point out
yourself?
But Zach...
for yelling at you.
Zach did bring up a really good point. Freaking Luffy's tied up.
I'm sorry. It's my number one pet peeve. That's why
I was just getting to that.
I'm sorry.
In midair, Doflamingo uses his string powers to tie Luffy's wrists together, which I guess can make strings happen out of nowhere now. I don't know. Let's say yes. And he goes careening right into Bellamy at the bat. And before Luffy can even finish saying Bellamy, it looks like he gets slashed. It's kind of hard to tell what's going on there, honestly, but I think he got slashed.
Because in the poem, Casey strikes out.
It's true.
Bellamy is much better than Casey, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah, Casey's kind of a loser. Bellamy's kind of a winner, but then again, he's also being puppet masted.
Puppet mastered.
Yeah, that's right. He's being puppet mastered.
As Zach writes that down
I've been writing a lot of these down.
with his feathered quill.
How did you know I used a feather quill?
So he gets sliced by Bellamy in a scene that is sure to take 5 minutes of the anime's time.
We're gonna
Law
cut to
cries
every
out,
single-
"Straw Hat!" And Bellamy is sad, and Luffy's in pain. And as soon as Luffy lands, Doflamingo begins monologuing, as
You
true
say I
villains do.
interrupt. Steve.
Children?
Clearly, you interrupted Dude, as Dude kept talking over me.
You guys, it's okay. It's water under the fridge. All right, we're almost done. All right.
Hate when that happens.
Anyway, Dofi starts monologuing, trying to remind Law of Doflamingo's least favorite thing in the world. Lawyers! No, I'm kidding. Being looked down upon is the correct answer. Being looked down upon was the answer we were looking for. And next page.
Because, hey, when you're a celestial dragon, that happens all the time.
All the time. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. So on the final page here of this chapter, we have Doflamingo's. He's getting into the origin story here. He says it is the highest disgrace. You could not have disgraced me more than thinking that you could actually beat me, because I am of the noblest blood in the world. I am a celestial dragon.
He's a Kennedy.
The most rare power. Yeah.
I'm a super rare card.
The rarest power of white privilege.
Oh yes, noble
Nobility
by
by
birth, and
yes,
and this is a shock to Luffy. Obviously, Law probably already knew that, and Bellamy is shocked to hear this too, because of course he, like Doflamingo said, Bellamy's just kind of a thug, and he always looked up to Doflamingo. I'm sure he had no idea that he was actually like Mr. Hoity-Toity, but Doflamingo says, one day my father decided that our family of four should, give up all of this privilege and come to live in this cesspool of a world. Like he claimed that they should live like human beings, and he's like, what the hell is that? Why would anyone want to do that? And we get these flashbacks to young Doflamingo. I'm starting to wonder now if he just has like really sensitive eyes, because even as a kid, rocking the shades.
He may. Like, he might be hemophiliac, like the lines of, the British monarchy.
I'm just like picturing him sounding like the South Park episode. Imagine him sounding like Puff Daddy's kids. Father, where are the slaves? Let us go buy some. Live with the lions.
He's really good.
Now I just keep thinking that it's like a dig at someone who never takes off his sunglasses, like Jack Nicholson. And now I'm just imagining Doflamingo is Jack Nicholson.
Or any celebrity signing autographs at a comic book convention.
Hey, Daddy-o, where are the slaves? We gotta go buy some.
Actually, the ones that he's wearing.
Are you a co-op?
The ones that he's wearing in this little flashback look a lot like Tamori, who is a veteran Japanese comedian, and he was like the host or the main guy behind the Spring of Trivia show, and he always wears sunglasses like that. So that could be part of it.
They have no what do you call them? The ear things to keep them on your face.
No, I think he had them like that, but it was just kind of the plain black, kind of rounded ones.
Those are Morpheus sunglasses you're thinking.
Sometimes Oda forgets to draw them. Yeah. Like I think even on this previous panel when Doflamingo is monologuing, I think he forgot to draw them.
Oh, yeah,
or maybe those are just his eyes. He has really fucked up eyes.
That's what we've been saying this whole time.
I have very special eyes. Well, look here, Dofi. Look here with your special eyes.
That's the rarest power. The sunglasses eyes power.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
Frankie had it for a while.
Side effect of the Judge Ito fruit.
Well, we can see in these this kind of series of statements from Child Doflamingo that it kind of seems like he's got a bit of some daddy issues, because he's like, father, where are the slaves? Father, some low-class trash dared to speak back to me. I must have a gun. Father, our mother has died of sickness. He's.
I want to go back to the gun line just because I think it's so brash. I mean, it's so ridiculous, but it really gets the point across as how
messed up.
How white privilege Doflamingo is. Hey, some lower class talk trash about me. Where's the gun?
Yeah,
I need to shoot him.
I'm taking the gun out for a while, Father. I'll bring it back, and polished.
Yeah, this is really like a early Helmeppo thing to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
maybe they're the same person. No.
This would
Helmeppo does wear sunglasses.
This would mess with Helmeppo's mind. It's like, wow, I thought I was fucked up.
Yeah, Helmeppo's also kind of a...
All I wanted was a drink. And someone to fan me.
So anyways, Doflamingo continues. He says, because my father was such an idiot, by the age of 8, I had been through both heaven and hell. So I killed him and took his head back to Mary Jo. Wait, okay, hang on a second. You just skipped a few steps there. That doesn't quite add up. But he says the celestial. Yeah.
Well, look, he wanted to punish someone for speaking back at him by shooting them. So why not cut his dad's head off for taking him out of the white privilege home he was used to?
Yeah. I should point out that the taking the head thing is kind of a figure of speech in Japanese, so it doesn't necessarily mean that he cut his dad's head off, but you definitely killed him, and it was sort of the point is that he takes him back, look, I've killed the guy.
But man, as an 8-year-old, he killed an adult male. Man, Doflamingo should join the cast of Attack on Titan. That's me throwing a dig at that show, ladies and gentlemen.
You don't say.
I did.
Yeah, he did. And the celestial dragons, they did not care. They would not take anyone back once he was from the tainted line of traitors, and that's when he swore that he would destroy everything they hold dear about the world they control. So basically, he's just throwing a giant shit fit over the way he was treated. Yeah. And he finishes by saying, "The lives you've led cannot compare to what I've been through. I don't have the time to waste with you miserable brats."
All he wanted was his gun.
Pot calling the kettle black here, though, which is ironic because of the white privilege thing. That's not how that works.
Why would someone leave? Why would someone choose to leave that world, though? Why would his father choose to leave? That's the part I don't get about it.
He must have known how hypocritical and messed up it was.
What do you mean, why would you want to leave? It is a fucking mess. Did you see how messed up that shit was in Shaw Buddy with the... And in general, we've seen it a lot, the slave ownership. So someone with half a conscience would be like, oh, this shit's really messed up.
You're assuming an ethical person.
Right, that's who this has to be. His father was clearly an ethical person. Or
it's not like his father's like, yo, why don't it be a gas if we just lived like poor people? Come on, family vacation.
But you see, that's how Doflamingo sees it. That's how Doflamingo sees it.
It's just hard to imagine when he's like an amorphous black blob. He doesn't have a personality yet at this point. So.
I'm sure we'll see, I have to assume we'll see more at some point. We have so many flashbacks we have to get to. Maybe we'll just see the law of flashback through Doflamingo.
I'm curious now. It's like, oh, what are we getting first here? Are we going to get a Doflamingo flashback? Or are we going to get a... Well, I think it would make sense to see Doflamingo's flashback, and then it eases into Law's flashback.
And I think we might have seen all we are going to see of Doflamingo's flashback. But I think the biggest point here is that I think we were talking about this a few episodes ago on the show about Doflamingo's, well, why does he own a slave house? Well, now we know. Because now, he's trying to make up for, I don't know, trying to prove himself or something.
Maybe he just enjoys the idea of slavery.
Well, maybe. That's true. The hobby.
Seems like he does.
I think we are going to see a little bit more of this flashback because I don't know. I just the characters are colored black, so they're collectors. No, but they're just they're colored in, so they're silhouettes. I feel like we'll get a little bit more on this. Do have to give Doflamingo some credit though. That house they're living in is a piece of crap. There's just a hole in the floor. It's covered with boards.
Yeah, and the
watch the hole, honey.
You can tell that they're poor.
Yeah.
Yes.
Look how his neck is drawn on that second to last page there at the bottom. It looks so menacing. I love it. And how he's drawn on the final page as well.
Well, I got to go through this, or at least posit this question. What do you think of this motivation, dude? Since we kept cutting you off,
I think it's fine. I think it's kind of funny that like he's basically just an overgrown child who never got his way, and now that he's an adult, he's like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna stay up past midnight and I'm gonna eat cookies for dinner, and it's basically a super fucked up version of that.
It's a really bad reasoning, but that's the point. He's a humongous child.
Yeah, and people, and I mean, it's not completely far fetched. There are people who are just sociopaths that have whose traumatic and shitty childhoods have led to that. It's just a fact of life, And
they're kind of the most despicable or scariest people out there in the real world.
We've over the course of the series, we've seen Doflamingo as a truth, I guess I could say threat, but he's a very imposing character, very scary. Like he's got.
We were just talking about him when we were in the interview we had with Chris. Kind of how he dealt with Moria as one example. He's clearly an imposing figure.
Yeah, he's basically got carte blanche to do whatever the hell he wants because of his blood right. It's like we've seen in the past that the Celestial Dragons can get away with pretty much anything, and here we have a pirate who is a warlord who is also a Celestial Dragon, and he's lived his entire life giving absolutely no fucks whatsoever, and the only person I think it seems that can topple his plans at this point, or who appear to be a threat to him, is Kaido.
There's also the unpleasantness with his brother, so we don't really know what happens there, why that happens in the first place.
I mean, there's only one person who he's basically like, oh, this guy will kill me immediately, and you're right, that's Kaido.
Yeah, at this point, he's not even like that with Luffy. He's just like, you guys have, really, really messed things up with my plan, so I'm just gonna fuck you up. Like it's gotten to that point. I was gonna let you live, Law, but you've fucked things over so much for me that I don't care anymore. Like
you've become quite a thorn in my ass.
That's right.
Yeah, and this is also another example of a chapter that doesn't have to be long to be good. It packs a lot of good stuff in, a lot of character stuff in. Yeah. I mean, it's relatively focused on the one scene, but we do get a couple other characters who appear here. But
I disagree. I think there are two major scenes. I think the stuff with Fujitora is very compelling, at least in that character study, as well as Doflamingo.
At that point, I think every time Fujitora comes on stage, he says something really, really ambiguous. And then we cut to something else, and now I think for the first time we finally get who Fujitora is.
A little bit.
He walks in, says some sort of gambling metaphor, and then a Kenny Rogers song just starts playing.
Just the one Kenny Rogers song.
I know when to hold 'em.
Oh, I thought we were talking about Coward of the County.
Are we going to keep singing, or
are we not singing?
I will pass on the mic.
Stephen.
I think that this was an interesting. I don't know if Oda would necessarily phrase it in these terms, but Doflamingo's backstory and his motivation kind of seems like a statement on the loss of privilege. In the sense that like he was clearly in a very privileged position, and then just how poorly he reacts. And to be fair, he is also personally seems like a sociopath, like you guys said earlier.
Yeah.
But just the way that he lashes out when what he assumes is his birthright is kind of taken away from him is kind of interesting. I think, especially considering just some of the kind of social arguments that have been happening in recent months, at least in America. So it's kind of timely in that sense, although I don't think it was necessarily intentional on Oda's part. But it'll be really interesting to see how this backstory gets filled out.
I mean, we've had politically a lot of discussion in the United States about, treating mental illness and how it leads to violence. This is also a nature and nurture thing where, he's clearly, he has problems because of the way he grew up with a bunch of slaves. and in probably one of, pardon my speech here, but fucked up societies known to man in any kind of sense of the word. It's a really, really, really interesting character study, and I like kind of how crassly Oda puts it together. Basically being like, look, here's 3 shots of it, and a brief explanation from the horse's mouth as to why he's doing this, and it's kind of stupid, but in the same way, at the same time, it's incredibly intimidating to think that this is his motivation. Yeah. And he's not a dumb guy. I mean, he's made some stupid mistakes in this arc, but he's clearly an individual who kind of understands his place in the world.
It really brings his mistakes from earlier in this arc in greater relief in that, he isn't thinking things all the way through. Maybe he isn't planning as far ahead as he thinks because he can be so childish sometimes and impetuous and just sort of decide to do things. And maybe he isn't thinking about things all the way through. He's clearly very clever, but he seems to, be easily angered.
Well, he's that little kid, but he also is a little kid who studies his history books and kind of, I really do think he knows, not his place in the world as, in the sense we normally use it, but his place in the world as a celestial dragon and what brought him to this point and what brings and where they are in the world and what's important. I mean, we've referenced him prior to this arc and prior to really Doflamingo being a focus in after Skypiea and Jaya, in Marineford and in between, as kind of this, he's an intimidating and imposing figure who seems to kind of know what's up. And it's weird seeing that, although that's true, his motivations are just infantile.
It's one other thing that I think is really interesting here that we did touch on is that it kind of seems like his father is a man of some kind of principle, which goes to show that it's not necessary. Doflamingo might be a product of that screwed up system, but it's not necessarily it doesn't run in the family necessarily. Like his father seems like he could have been a good man or an interesting man. And it also kind of addresses something that we had wondered earlier, which is, are we ever going to see, in kind of Oda's typical fashion, a counter example to the trend of there are good celestial dragons, that they're not just all stereotypes.
It seems like this one might be the one because he came from a line of traders is the words that...
Right.
When he started the line of traders.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the beginning of the line of traders. Now Doflamingo can have no kids, not that he looks like he's interested at the moment. As far as, he was kind of a pimp, so who knows what's going on. Forgot about that aspect of his personality. Any more thoughts on Doflamingo?
I think it's been covered pretty well.
Do you guys want to talk briefly about Fujitora as well, or you think that's been covered as
well?
I
feel like it's been covered very well.
And Sabo?
I don't know. As much as joking around I did during this chapter, I still think this was a fantastic chapter. I mean,
it was 12 pages, 6 double-page spreads as we cover it. I
really enjoy Fujitora really coming out of his wouldn't say he's coming out of his shell. I mean, we've got to know him a lot pretty quickly, and finally to see him kind of cement a place in this conflict is very satisfying. Sabo being the very caring older brother, very satisfying. Luffy and Law fighting, very satisfying. Very
Although
satisfying
getting their
chapter.
ass kicked.
Well, it's it wouldn't be fun just to see them have the upper hand the entire fight.
That's true.
And I really enjoyed the ending. With just Doflamingo just ranting and monologuing and just seeing just how much of a privileged brat he was. And I think saying privileged brat, isn't saying enough. But I've been loving these chapters lately. Not saying that I haven't been enjoying these bunch of chapters, but I think like these last 3 have been awesome.
Yeah,
and I really just hope this trend continues.
Yeah, he's really been on a roll here. And as I was saying, it's amazing how much he did in so few pages. And Steve, you said that as well. Any other lingering thoughts, or are you ready to get into the next segment?
Let's do it.
Okay, let's get into the next segment.
I say we're ready.
Okay. This is the Piece Together segment where we take your questions, comments, and theories and figure out what they all mean. Why don't we start? I half-assed that one. Why don't we start on the emails? I feel like this one comes from John Jacob Jingleheimer.
Schmidt?
No, just Jingleheimer.
Or John Jacob Jingleheimer Mueller.
That's so strange because his name is my name too.
Really? I thought your name was Steve
Whenever we
Urkel.
go out,
People always shout. There goes Steve Urkel.
There goes Steve Urkel. Oh, la, 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 la. That just turned into Dominic the Donkey.
I knew that was going to turn into that.
I love Dominic the Donkey. Dominic the Donkey, the Italian Christmas donkey.
Yes. Hee-haw, hee-haw.
What the hell is happening?
I didn't know anyone else knew that song.
I had an art teacher that always used to play it during the holiday season.
Ed,
Yeah.
look who you're talking to here.
One Piece.
One Piece. We're talking to One Piece.
Some of the time.
Mr. Jingleheimer starts, I feel like Viola in the flashback, especially in the anime, looks a lot like Disney's Snow White. There's a good example I sent you guys. It's what Viola looks like in the flashback. Do you think this could have been intentional? They're both princesses, and Snow White is the story with the magic mirror that can show someone anything they want to see, while Viola has the devil fruit that grants her the ability to seemingly do the same. What do you guys think?
I don't know. I suppose.
Could be an homage. I mean, haven't we seen homages to Disney characters in One Piece before?
I guess. I mean, like, I don't know. I feel like the one that comes to mind is Crocodile because his name is Crocodile and he has a hook, and Captain Hook was chased around by a crocodile. That's the one that comes to mind. Oh, I guess Peterman. Remember Peterman?
Oh yeah, the creepy guy.
Yeah, he was just like Peter Pan.
Oh yeah. Oh God, I forgot about that guy.
Yeah, the guy
Wow.
who went and stole slave. Yeah, he went to steal people to be slaves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow, Peterman.
Real creepy.
Peterman, yeah.
Maybe
Peterman.
that's more from my
Peterman.
J.
Mr.
Peterman. The J. Peterman catalog.
for slaves.
Mr. Peterman.
The J. Peterman catalog for slaves.
He had a really creepy voice. Remember?
Elaine, the urban sombrero.
I'm gonna kidnap the pretty mermaid. I'm Peterman.
All right, Mr. Jingleheimer has another question. Law made Brownbeard and others into centaurs, right? Was he the one who made Monet into a harpy, or is she some sort of new species? And for that matter, could he have made Dellinger the way he is, with the horns and the fin and everything? And he says, I'm thinking probably not, but it would be interesting. For all we know, Dellinger actually has a woman's legs, thanks to Law. Well, we know that's not the case now.
Well, definitely not the crotch of a woman.
No.
After this
That's
week's
for
anime.
sure.
But yeah, what do you guys think of that?
I always thought that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Monet,
Flashback.
Because
You didn't
even
have,
back in Punk Hazard, when we got a flashback of when Law met Caesar, Monet was just a normal lady.
Yeah, she's just a Goyle.
She was just plain old Goyle with spiral reading glasses.
Yep.
So I
Yeah.
think I don't necessarily know if Dellinger is tied in with it, but I always thought that Monet benefited. She's like, I always wanted to be a bird. Make me a bird. What fly away?
And he's like, all right, you damn hippie.
Well, that's pretty much. I always like. What was it, Janice from the Muppets? That's how I always like. I always heard that voice coming out of Monet.
Oh, yeah. Really?
Yes, at least in the beginning.
Huh.
Oliver.
I get the one with the jacuzzi.
Oliver Jordan says, do you think you have to be a world noble to become one of the 5 nobles of the world government? If they're not world nobles, do you think that the 5 elders approve of the world nobles and their morally bankrupt lifestyles? Or do you think they secretly disapprove but have to put up with it regardless?
I think that you kind of have to be a world noble to get that position. Doesn't seem like a position you get through merit. The Marines are a much less corrupt organization than the world government is overall.
Agreed.
Yeah, you know what? It actually does make sense that they're probably of that lineage. I mean, the whole thing with world nobles, though, is that they were kings. We know now of every other country.
Wait, based on what we've seen just in this last chapter, would a world noble ever take orders from somebody who wasn't? Would a world noble ever listen to somebody who wasn't a world noble?
But no, this is the thing. The world nobles are descended from the kings of all of the nations of the world government. But whoever were the founders of the world government, I think that's who the 5 elders are. I know I'm parsing hairs here because
I thought
what's the difference?
Yeah, it's like you're trying to disagree with me, but we actually agree. You're just restating my position.
No, because I don't think they're of the world nobles that we know with the what do you call it, the bubbles around them when they go out. I don't think they're of that lineage. I think.
Well, I don't think all world nobles are like that. I think that's just a terrible family. And maybe it is. Maybe a lot of them are like that. I don't think all of them are.
All the ones we've seen are also hideous, and the 5 elders are okay looking.
Okay, Zach.
That's my other kind of loose argument against that. I might also be just taking the devil's advocate here. Anyway, I'm a Doc 91 says, I don't know if I made it in time. You did, but I have been thinking quite a lot about the Celestial Dragons. So this is going to be the hockey for this week, I have a feeling. These are all from One Piece Reddit, again, if I hadn't said. You could check it out at reddit.com/r/One Piece. We know about a few of them for sure, but realistically, if we think about it, there have got to be quite a bit more of them, and I doubt they are all weak. I guess Doflamingo is a good example here. Some may even have an ulterior motives to the others. We have 5 or 6 people, most of whom are directly related to each other out of the 19 families. This means there could be even 100 or more of them. There's a lot of room for them to end up being more complex than we originally thought. And this isn't something that I thought until recently.
In any sufficiently large group of powerful people, there will be people who don't get along. So people are going to be trying to get the upper hand. I don't think the world nobles are a monolithic bunch.
Politics.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Ichiban Kenshin says, I'm sorry, Typeset. Ichiban Kenshin had questions for Chris, but we kind of went through those. Typeset, can you match every member of the Straw Hat crew to Simpsons characters? I'll give you a couple of them. You don't have to do all of them.
The Straw Hats?
Yeah, the Straw Hat crew.
Oh, man.
Wow.
Well, Brooke is grandpa.
It's a big question. Why is Brooke grandpa?
I think that makes sense. I agree with that.
Because he's so old?
And he's obsessed with bodily functions.
Frankie and Robin, definitely mom and dad.
Yeah. Yeah, Frankie is a buffoon.
Frankie is kind of like Homer, yeah. It's hard to...
Usopp is Millhouse.
No, I thought Usopp was Hans Moleman. I was saying Usopp.
Nami's kind of like the Lisa.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Robin.
the Lisa episodes are really, really boring, even the good ones. God. What a weird What a big question.
Yeah, we can move on.
I feel like I think like I don't know. I want to say Buggy's not really crusty.
Well, now we've determined Moria is crusty.
Oh yeah, or I thought Buggy might be like Mo.
Yeah, you know what? I like that right there.
Bad things just tend to happen to him.
Yeah.
Oh man, this is such a
Smoker
good
is like Principal Skinner.
No, I always thought like Sengoku was more like
No. Tashigi is like Skinner, and Smoker is Superintendent Chalmers.
Well said.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. It's the same thing I said today when Zach accidentally sent me a kissy face he meant to send to his girlfriend.
I knew you were going to mention that on the air. Maybe I meant it for you, Steve.
Sends me a kissy face, like, that was meant for Erica. And I said, oh my god.
Blast! I must have switched mother's makeup kit by mistake.
I'm just trying to think if there's any more good Simpsons comparisons. Damn.
I think we're good. Tracker OC says, really bummed to see the fight go so far, so fast the other direction. I really can't guess how Luffy's going to get out of this one, but I was just wondering if the palace is resting normally, or is it being sustained at the height by Pika's devil fruit and his consciousness?
I'm pretty sure Luffy's going to get out of, but he's going to get out of this predicament through brute strength and yelling.
As per usual.
Just a thought.
Yeah.
And
I think it's perfectly stable. I don't think Pika is holding it up.
Yeah, which means when this is all said and done, Dressrosa is just going to be one really messed up island.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the case, which is both hilarious and concerning, I guess. I don't know what exactly is going to happen.
Maybe Fujitora will gravity it back to normal.
I like that as a verb.
I'm full of really great verbs today.
Yeah.
Puppet masted.
Ed, it's it's everyone's favorite segment. It is.
Praise the tweeter. Man, that's nice.
Yeah, you totally puppet mastered that segment.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
First piece of the question comes from Catherine.
From
Catherine Bush.
Further back, we got one more. I'll start. Dark Leviathan has one. As I listened to old podcasts, first he wondered if I could see the color purple, and no, I can't.
With the movie?
No, the color. But no, I can't see that movie either. It's a long story. He also asked.
He can't take Oprah peeing in a bucket.
He also asked, in Doflamingo's flashback, you could see Corazone's silhouette. Also, you think did Law remove his organs before the fight? I don't think he did. I guess because he got impaled. I don't think. I guess he could remove his own organs if he wanted to.
Yeah, he can operate.
Where would you stash them?
Yeah, that's the question. You gotta stash them somewhere good.
In a cooler, of course.
Yeah, this is turning into a Breaking Bad episode.
Or he can stash them in like other parts of his body. Like if he wanted to, Locke can probably put his organs in like his foot. I don't know, for safekeeping, or his butt.
It would really hurt.
I was gonna say,
not like in his butt. I mean like in his butt cheek or something. I don't know.
It already is in his butt. Technically.
All right, Law. I need you to do me a really, really big favor, Law. Oh, what's that, Corazon? I need to stick your organs up your butt, Law.
What? Gee, Rick. I don't know, Rick.
You gotta stick your organs really far up your butt, Law.
I want to see. Now I want to see those worlds collide.
Do it for me, Law.
All right, let's move on to the next question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Catherine Bush asks, seeing Usopp in Eni's lobby makes me think of the steak and salad theory.
I guess it wasn't just you, Ed, there.
No, it wasn't just me. Ichiban Kenshin asks, on the topic of hockey, do you think Nami has observation hockey when it comes to weather and navigation?
The answer is everyone has hockey all the time. Right?
I think Nami uses the power of her breast to determine what the weather's going to be that day.
Nami doesn't have hockey as far as we know.
So is she the character from Mean Girls?
Yeah, Steve got it.
Thank you. See, I'm young. I'm hip.
Yeah, he's hip and young.
I am not with it. I was with it, but then it changed.
And now, what is it?
It'll happen to you. Oh, Zach. Oh, I'm sorry. Were you cut off, baby?
Whoa.
Ichiban Kenshin also
you
said
cut
that he
off,
likes Dellinger Seiyuu. It's does justice to Steve's Paul Lind impression.
Yes, I could tell that the Japanese voice actor for Dellinger was inspired by me, who was inspired by Paul Lind. So thank you.
It's an Inception voice.
Next question comes from Jobless. Hey.
This is good. I didn't know you were allowed to send in questions.
Who would win, Silver Chariot from JoJo or Cavendish?
Oh, Silver Chariot would fuck him up.
What about Hakuba?
I don't know. The thing is, though, Polnareff is also an idiot. So, but then again, Cavendish.
They have that in common.
Yes, Cavendish is an idiot in kind of like a selfish, egocentric kind of way. So, the world may never know.
Cavendish. How come we haven't done that before?
I don't know.
It's perfect.
Because his name is not Cavan Marsh.
Cavendish.
Another one goes on the list with my ink quill pen.
Oh.
Next question comes from Marvel. With as much influence and power as Doflamingo has, do you feel his flashback motivation is justified? I mean, see Manga Recap on that one. It makes sense. It makes sense to us.
Is anyone actually gonna think that Doflamingo does have a good point? You know, he should have been allowed to kill that guy.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing I like about Doflamingo is that you can't empathize with him. Those are the best villains, the ones that you can't empathize with. They're like, oh well, they're just evil.
Yeah, as bad of a character as Hody Jones was, I mean, he experienced a lot of legitimate discrimination. He just distorted it for his own, selfish gain. But this guy is just he doesn't deserve anything.
Also,
hey, don't you hate it when your slaves just don't feel like doing work anymore, and then you get tired from whipping them too much?
Are you doing the Jack Nicholson now?
Yeah, it turned into Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, because we were talking about that, the sunglasses.
Yeah.
Where does he get those wonderful toys?
Sugar.
Here's.
Yeah. Hey, Sugar, get over here.
Hey, Sugar, I need some batches of toys to be slaves.
That does not sound like it.
I'm sorry.
No, it sounds like a creepy guy who lives in a barn.
Hey, I need some toys to do my work for me.
Oh, nice, Poland.
Poland in a barn.
Oh man. Sai-chan asks,
I'm doing research for my role as Mr. Templeton.
how different do you think the series would be if Doflamingo's family never left the World Doubles?
Very.
I think
Very.
I think Law wouldn't be so angsty.
We don't know that.
Law might be dead because he strapped a bunch of grenades to himself. Obviously, something stopped that from going forward.
Well, I think if they never left the World Nobles, I don't think Doflamingo would care much. I don't think there would be a Dressrosa arc right now.
He'd still have his slaves. He'd have his gun.
He'd be able to shoot his slaves.
I think they'd go to Dressrosa and they're like, welcome to Dressrosa, the most peaceful nation in all the world.
And also he'd have a living mother. So even the bad guys in One Piece,
And
nobody has a living mother.
We also just don't know. We don't have any information as to really his past beyond those 3 panels. And the one in the SBS.
Right.
Which has now been explained. Now I'm wondering the chicken and the egg thing. Did he make Doflamingo's backstory after he made that SBS or before? Do you think he had it in mind already?
I don't know.
He's probably thought about it. Doflamingo was introduced as an important character. So
Well, we debated it when we found out he was one of the nobles, the Celestial Dragons. We were like, but in his SBS, he was poor and sitting in the same kind of beanbag sack as he has now.
Yeah, it's like that's a beanbag for poor people.
But he's,
Bandai
he's
chair.
fond of that. That sometimes when rich people become poor, they become fond of certain poor things, and for him, it's the chairs.
He's really likes really shitty beanbag chairs.
He's
he's
such
like,
a 90s kid.
Although I live in this giant palatial estate, I buy all my furniture from Goodwill.
It kind of sounded a little Casey Kasem there.
I buy all my furniture from Goodwill.
it's hard to do this with the earphones on.
The next question comes from Munchie the Panda, who asks,
And he writes.
And he writes, do you think we will see the result of Fujitora going against his orders with Akainu's reaction to him and the end of the arc?
Yes.
Sounds like Johnny Carson. That was wild.
We're doing all of these impressions that probably most people who don't listen to us are too young to understand.
But
yeah,
what about the question I asked?
Yeah. I think we'll see a reaction.
I don't know. It seems like seems like Smoker gets away with letting the Straw Hats get away all the time.
Yeah.
That's true.
And also be like Fujitora, he has his orders. I mean, Akainu got away. I mean, not Akainu. Aokiji got away with all that, doing that kind of stuff. Lazy justice for so long.
Yeah, okay. Doflamingo, though, also got away with fucking up Smoker big time. Smoker got mutilated by Doflamingo.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next thing we hear was that, Smokers of the Straw Hats are going here. I don't care about Doflamingo. I don't care what he did to Smoker. I just care about getting Straw Hat. I'm Akainu. And this is 60 Minutes on it.
I'm Akainu. Coming in at number 4.
Okay, keep
Coming in at number 1.
It's
The next question comes from Chad Irkey, who asks, he's a new listener, and he was wondering, who do you guys think is the most dangerous prisoner that Blackbeard recruited? Sanwon Wolf is ridiculous. I want more of him. I don't know if he's the most dangerous, but he's the one I'm most curious about.
He's definitely the biggest.
He's definitely the biggest.
I'm curious why Shiryu is what's behind him. We
Because I think Shiryu didn't feel like hanging out in a prison cell anymore.
Yeah.
I'm bored. Blur.
I'm just curious.
But before
to see what
that-
to do.
Andy Yoho with his question. He had his thoughts on the 3D 2Y special. As a whole, he loved it, from the excellent animation to the team up with Luffy and Hancock and anything involving Buggy. And he could have done without the fan service, but he didn't think it was as horrible as some made it out to be. And I guess he agrees with us then.
That's about what we thought, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was talking about the special or the fan service. I was confused by that.
That's true. I think he was talking about the special. I'm gonna give him
overall.
If so, I agree. And if you're talking about the fan service, I disagree.
the fan service. We've seen worse or on par with that before.
I don't know. It was
and
pretty
it
bad.
wasn't really that long or important to the story. And as long as
that was my whole argument.
Yeah, I mean, but if fan service is going to be done, make it so it's out of the way and doesn't have anything, that doesn't affect the main story. It's a 2-hour movie, so, I mean, okay. Give them 2 minutes of fan service, whatever. Go on.
Osama asks, do you think that Doflamingo has an army of Devil Fruit users, Zoan type? And what does he mean when he said that he acquired the rarest abilities? Well, I think the rarest abilities was referring explicitly to him being the world noble, having the noble blood.
Oh, see, I thought he was talking about the string fruit.
No, I thought his privilege was the rarest power.
Well, that certainly is a rare power.
That's true.
I don't think he has an army of Zoan fruit users because he's been selling all of them.
Yeah,
he's been selling all of them. Kind of.
Yeah.
And finally, Danny Newman asks, do you think we will ever see Viz release Volume 0?
They already have. They released Chapter 0, which is essentially the same thing.
Volume 0 just had some info book kind of content.
Yeah, I don't think it had that much extra. It had a message from Oda about the movie, Strong World, and I think it just had some. It might have had some sketches and stuff. I'd personally like to see the Strong World sketchbook come out in the United States. I think that would be cool, and I don't think that would involve too much translation.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, we had two more pieces to tweet. Dark Leviathan said, "Do you think that that will pan back to Pika and Zoro, or Frankie and Senor Pink, or Rebecca and Diamante at this point?"
I think we're going into a flashback, like an actual one, for at least a chapter.
We've been saying
Hopefully.
that so much, though.
Well, eventually I'll be right then.
It's wishful thinking. Oda keeps the one thing I don't like really about this arc is that Oda keeps sort of like teasing at flashbacks, but he's been doing it he did it like 6 times.
Yeah, it's been a big cock tease with it.
Yeah, I don't like being strung around like this.
Yeah, it's.
I was waiting for the studio audience to.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
The last question's from One Pisu, which is appropriate. Do you think the record short chapter was Oda's way of trying to avoid a break?
I'll take it. I'll take it if it is.
It's like Marineford, when a lot of things used to happen in very short chapters. Although sometimes some of those chapters nothing happened in.
The length of a chapter.
In a while.
Yeah.
The length of a chapter I don't think it affects my enjoyment of it.
No.
Good chapter's a good chapter.
Yeah, if it's good, it's good. If you could do it in 6 pages or 10 pages or whatever, it's whatever you could do good.
I remember the Marineford chapters were shorter because there were so many double-page spreads.
Yeah.
There was that, and he was also doing Strong World at the same time.
Yeah, that's right.
Plus, that stuff was probably intense to keep together, the Marineford stuff, because he had to keep track of... I'm going to go out there and say, like, hundreds of actual named characters who were important to the series in some way. Yeah, so that's it.
Yep.
That's all for Piece Together. Why don't we round out the show, guys?
Let's do that.
This has been the Unofficial One Piece Podcast, episode 337 for the week of Monday, September 15th, 2014. Big thanks, of course, to Chris Guerrero for coming on the show. We're hoping to have a lot of other guests on the recent voyages and hopefully film Zeon in the next couple months or weeks. We're really looking to do that. If you are listening and you happen to know one of those voice actors, please let them know. Or if you are one of those voice actors, we'd love to have you on. Yeah, it was cool talking to him. Also, we had a really good chapter and episode this week. It's not always that we have two, from the anime and the manga, we have good content. And a double Toonami recap, so busy episode this week. Any other things that I'm forgetting?
Steve, are you heading to any cons this season?
Yes, I will be heading to Anime Weekend Atlanta in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I forgot how soon that is.
Yeah, so did I.
I think it's in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I
definitely will 100%.
I could have swore I remember it. I could have swore I remember it being 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, I definitely will not be there. I hate to say, but I'll be in Chicago.
Oh no!
Yeah. Wait. You don't care at all.
That was sarcasm.
I will be at New York Comic Con. That'll be in October 11th through 12th. I'll be there one of those days. I think that's that Saturday and Sunday. It does go on from that Thursday, so I think around the 9th through the 12th. So if you're there, if you're in New York, we're going to hopefully have some more information as to a meetup, time, and location. I'll talk it over with Steve at some point in the next few weeks, and we'll figure out what'll work best for us. And hopefully we could also get more members of the podcast here. I know there are going to be a lot of people from Funimation, and Viz always shows up at New York Comic Con, so make sure to check it out. And stay tuned for more news on that front. So before we round off, dude, what's going on with you? How can people reach you?
People can reach me. They can follow my work on Tumblr and Twitter at dude exclamation, all one word. to reiterate what Steve was saying at the beginning of the show, thanks to everybody who came by our table at SPX, said hello, bought our stuff, and chatted up with us. It was really awesome seeing people who like what we do. I'm going to be at a convention in November, AwesomeCon in Milwaukee. So more details on that the further we get there. If anybody's in Baltimore this Saturday, Super Art Fight's having its end of summer bash at the Autobar. Please come check that out. And if you haven't already, go to superartfight.com, check out the Super Art Fight web show. I'm in the first episode as the Doodler up against El Russo Rojo. You can vote, and I am lagging seriously behind. So, listeners, if you want to get out there,
it was tied when I voted.
Yeah, well now I'm getting spanked. So if anybody wants to vote, and you can vote as many times as you want, vote Quimby. So
it's not the Doodler's fault that the stadium collapsed.
Doodler, if you were running for mayor, he'd vote for you. If for the Doodler mayor for Merle committee. So that's I think what I've got going on.
Cool. Steve, what's going on in your neck of the woods?
Some creatures of the forest walking around. Squirrels. Chipmunks.
Wow, you take things literally.
Wow, there's one right now.
Well, that's why you could always figure out what card I'm playing in Cards Against Humanity. I go for the most literal answers.
Damn it, you're giving it away, Steve.
What's that smell? Something smelly.
I also like this thing.
No, like I said, I'm going to some conventions like AWA in Atlanta. That is, it's going to be 2 weeks from now, and got a whole slew of cons in October, like New York Comic Con, another Anime Con, and YomaCon. And of course, you could always follow my art at steveyurko.tumblr.com. And of course, read my webcomic, Jason, the Princes of the Universe, at jasoncomic.tumblr.com. And also follow me on the Twitter at Steve Yurko.
Was that last page the end of the chapter for Jason?
Second to last page. And if you bought it at SPX, well, guess what? You got to see the last page a week early.
Spoilers.
For chapter one, I mean. There might be a bit of a hiatus because of all the cons I listed that I am doing, so might not update as frequently, but I'll get back on it as soon as the con season ends.
Yeah, I didn't know October was such a busy time of year.
Neither did I till I looked at it like a week or two ago.
After signing up for 4 conventions in a row,
and then forgetting about them.
Steven, how could people reach you?
You can follow me on Twitter if you like at Translatosaurus.
That's simple. So simple.
Translator source.
Make sure to purchase One Piece Volume 72 if you have not. Steven, as we said, translated that. And subscribe to Shonen Jump at shonenjump.viz.com, which we don't say it enough. Obviously, that's where we take our source material for the Manga Recap, and by source material, I mean One Piece. So if you would like to follow along with us, that's the way to do it. It's only $25 for the whole year. They often have specials also for less, and you get, I think now it's around 300 pages worth of content with their new Jumpstart, 200 to 300 pages. Plus you get author comments like this week's. Ed, I don't know if you still have that in front of you. I could read it if you want.
Yeah, go for it, Zach.
Since I haven't read it yet, but Ed told me it was weird and creepy. I keep running into old friends. What's with all these coincidences? Is my number coming up soon? That is kind of...
Oda's getting dark this week.
No kidding.
I don't like it.
Yeah. Oda,
He's trolling
you're
fans.
fine. You're fine. You're making $120 million a year. You'll be okay.
It's just a little airborne. It's still good. It's still good.
But yeah, you could check that kind of stuff out and more in Shonen Jump, so make sure to do that.
That was a very nice pitch, Zach.
Thank you. I tried. So, Ed, how could the good people contact us?
Well, Zach, they can contact us at OnePiecePodcast.com, Twitter.com, YouTube.com, and Facebook.com/OnePiecePodcast. OnePiecePodcast at gmail.com is our email address. OnePiecePodcast is our Skype name. You can subscribe on the Stitcher Smart Radio app. You can subscribe on SoundCloud. You can subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes, or call us on our phone number, Zach.
Our phone number is 347-497-MAJI. That phone number again is 347-497-6254. Call
anytime.
With your questions, comments, theories, and suggestions for how I could interrupt more, because I'm looking for it. I think I could do it.
Use a reggaeton horn.
What about Vuvuzela?
Interrupting is where you're a Viking, Zach.
Thank you. I knew I could count on you for more positive, whatever the hell that is. So yeah, make sure if you haven't, check us out on SoundCloud. As Ed said, that is basically our new platform. We should have some news concerning things that you guys have been asking me about in the next week or two, so keep an ear to the ground. That's all I'll say about that. But for the One Piece Podcast, my name is Zach.
My name is Ed.
And my name is Steve.
Goodbye, everyone.
Adios.
Bye.
心から歌うのさ
This is the unofficial One Piece Podcast, episode 337 for the week of Monday, September 15th, 2014. My name is Zach.
And my name is Ed.
And my name is Steve.
On today's show, we have the dude. Hey, dude.
Hey, Zach, how's it going?
It's going well.
Hey, dude.
Hey, Steve.
I was just talking about Nickelodeon TV shows from the 90s.
Oh, yeah. Hey, dude. Salute your shorts. Wild and Crazy Kids. Clarissa Explains It All. You can't do that on television. Welcome, Freshman. Are You Afraid of the Dark? Roundhouse.
Are you broken?
I might be.
We also have a very special guest.
You sure know an awful lot about Nickelodeon, Mr. President.
We have very special...
Nickelodeon. I love Nickelodeon. Shrimp scampi, shrimp stew, shrimp puffs, popcorn and shrimp.
You're broken, dude.
Oh, no.